Chapter 200. Regarding the matter of Qin Ming coming to ask for them. By Yuan Chun. And the rest did not tell Sima Yue and the rest. Nobody wanted them to leave, fearing that they would be captured by Qin Ming's men the moment they left. When Qin Ming returned, he told Shi Yushi about Bai Yuan Chun's unwillingness to hand over the person he was talking about. He even added some oil to the fire, saying that the other party did not put her and the imperial family in his eyes and so on. She was so angry that she slammed the table and scolded him, saying that she would pursue this matter to the end with Sandgull. Princess, that Bai Yuan Chun is an expert at the level of a spirit elder. If we don't get rid of him first, it won't be easy to make a move on the Sandgull mercenaries. Qin Wan understood her father's thoughts and knew that he wanted to take advantage of this opportunity to make a move on the Sandgull mercenaries. No wonder he's so arrogant. Shi Yushi laughed coldly. Men. Here. 2 guards came in and said to Shi Yushi, "What orders does Princess have?" "The 2 of you, go back and tell Mother to send 2 spirit paragons over," Shi Yushi ordered. "Yes, Princess." The 2 of them left and headed straight for the teleportation array. Qin Wan and Qin Ming looked at each other, and a faint smile appeared on their faces. "Princess, Captain, according to the news we've received, the Sandgulls have received a mission that is very important to them. It seems that Bai Yin Chun is planning to go personally. Perhaps we can take care of him outside. Then, wouldn't the Sandgull be at the mercy of the princess and the commander?" Someone suggested. "Oh, go and investigate clearly where Bai Yuan Chun went," Shi Yushi said. "Yes, Princess." 5 days later, Sima Yue was cultivating in the courtyard. She planned to unblock Little Two's last 3 meridians in 2 days, and then leave for the imperial capital. She would then transfer to the teleportation array, to the Central Wu Kingdom. Suddenly, there was a commotion outside, and Bai Yunqi's voice could be heard. She stopped cultivating, opened the door, and went out. In the courtyard, Fatty Chu and the others were talking to Bai Yunqi. Bai Yunqi's condition wasn't very good. Her body was covered with injuries. She was shocked and asked, "What happened?" "Yue, last time you said that you were an alchemist and a doctor, right?" Bai Yunqi ran over and grabbed her hand. "Yes. Are you hurt?" "Let me see," Sima Yue said. "Really? This is great. Yue, quick, save my father." As Bai Yunqi spoke, she pulled Sima Yue and ran towards Bai Yuan Chun's courtyard. Wei Ziqi and the others looked at each other and followed. When Sima Yue and the rest arrived at the main courtyard, they saw that there were many people outside. When they saw them, some of them looked unfriendly, which made Sima Yue suspicious. "All of you get out of the way." Bai Yunqi was blocked outside the room and couldn't get close to the room. She shouted at those people, "Young master, why did you bring them here? Captain is like this because of them." Someone said unhappily. Wei Ziqi and the rest stopped in their tracks. Was it because of them that they were injured? What was going on? "Get out of my way," Bai Yunqi roared. But those people were still blocking the courtyard. "Let them come over." Sun Ranran came out of the house and said. Her voice was not loud, but everyone in the courtyard was stunned, and they consciously made a path for her. Yue quickly. Bai Yunqi pulled her through the courtyard and came to the front of the room. "Madam," Sima Yue saw that Sun Ranran's face was pale, as if she had suffered a huge blow. "Come in." Sun Ranran nodded at her and opened the door to enter. Sima Yue followed her in, but before she even entered the room, she could smell the thick stench of blood. Bai Yuan Chun was lying on the bed, exhaling more air than inhaling. The alchemist and doctor said that there was no other way. Yun Qi said that you have medical skills and insisted that you try again. Sun Ranran's voice was trembling. Sima Yue did not know how Bai Yuan Chun had suddenly suffered such a heavy injury, so she said, "Let me take a look at Uncle's condition first." After she finished speaking, she came to the front of the bed and took a quick look. Then, she took out a pill and fed it to him. Vitality recovery pill. The alchemist who was standing to the side saw the pill that Sima Yue took out and said in astonishment. When Sun Ranran heard about the vitality recovery pill, she was also shocked because this was a 5th-ranked pill. It was one of the best medicines out of all the medicines. As long as the person had a single breath, they would not die. Moreover, very few people were able to refine it. She never thought that Sima Yue would be able to casually take out such a pill. Sima Yue looked at the alchemist and did not say anything. She continued to check on Bai Yuan Chun's condition. Yue, how is my father? Bai Yunqi asked. Sima Yue checked on Bai Yuan Chun's condition. It could no longer be described as bad, so she said, his condition is not good. Don't disturb me. Sun Ranran looked at Sima Yue and thought that there was still a way to save Bai Yuan Chun. She took 2 steps forward and pulled on Bai Yunqi, indicating that he should not speak. Sima Yue congealed a ball of flame and controlled it to burn off Bai Yuan Chun's clothes. Then, she took out a box of silver needles and inserted a few tins of needles into his stomach and head. Then, she watched as his body slowly healed under the effects of the vitality recovery pill. Yue. Bai Yunqi did not speak while she was inserting the needles. When he saw her stand up, he opened his mouth to ask. Everyone in the room looked at her, waiting for her results. Other than the wounds on his body, Uncle's internal organs have been ruptured. His meridians have all been broken. Unless he is reborn, even if his life is saved, he can only stay in bed. Sima Yue said. Sun Ranran's body swayed, and she retreated 2 steps. Bai Yunqi hurriedly went forward to support her. Mother, what happened to you? Sun Ranran shook her head and tried her best to stabilize her mind, saying, at least his life is saved. Although she thought this way, 2 streams of tears still fell from her eyes. Yue, are those needles going to be like this forever? Bai Yunqi asked. These needles are temporarily used by me to stabilize his meridians, so that his meridians will not continue to shrink. Sima Yue said. As for his internal injuries, he can only wait for the vitality recovery pill to heal. Thank you, Sun Ranran said. Originally, the doctors and alchemists had said that there was no other way. Who would have thought that she would actually be able to save his life? This was a bit easier for them to accept. Yue, my father's meridians are all broken. Is it really impossible to recover? Bai Yunqi still could not accept that his own father could only lie in bed like this and asked. I just said, unless he is reborn, he can only stay in bed for the rest of his life. Sima Yue said with certainty. Madam, young master, this group leader has suffered such serious injuries. It is already not easy to save his life. A doctor in the room said. What do you mean not easy? Get out of here, all of you useless things. Bai Yunqi heard the doctor's words and roared angrily. All of you can leave. Sun Ranran stood up and said to Bai Yunqi. Yunqi, send them out. Yes, mother. Bai Yunqi saw her mother like this. Although she was extremely unwilling, she still obediently sent all of them out. At that moment, only Sima Yue and Sun Ranran were left in the room. Sun Ranran looked at her and said, You still have something to say just now, right? Chapter 201. Sima Yue raised her eyebrows. How did she know? Bai Yunqi sent them to the door and came back. When she heard Sun Ranran's words, she asked, Yue, do you still have a way to save father? Sima Yue nodded and said, Even though uncle's tendons and veins are all broken, he will be fine as long as they are reconnected. I didn't say anything just now, because I didn't want the people outside to know about it. Why? Bai Yunqi was puzzled. From the looks of the people outside just now, I'm sure uncle's injury wasn't because of an ordinary reason. If that's the case, the other party will definitely think that uncle can't be saved. Sima Yue said. That's right. Sun Ranran said. I heard those people say that uncle was injured because of us. Sima Yue was very concerned about this. Yue, you should save my father first. Bai Yunqi did not want to tell her the reason. The vitality recovery pill is still healing uncle's body. We can't touch him now. Sima Yue said. You'd better tell me more about uncle's injuries. Bai Yunqi looked at her mother and said. Father was injured by the domineering army. The reason is that he refuses to hand you over. Domineering? Sima Yue frowned. Actually, a few days ago, Qin Ming brought people over and asked father to hand you over, saying that you killed Qin Wu. Bai Yunqi said. But father said that you killed Qin Ming to save me, so he refused to hand you over. He also said that he couldn't tell you, and asked you to hide in our house. No wonder you didn't allow us to go out recently. Sima Yue was furious and clenched her fists unconsciously. It just so happened that we had accepted a mission this time. So father went personally. However, we didn't expect that she would go back and ask the princess consort to send 2 spirit paragon experts over. They took advantage of the fact that father was out on a mission to injure him. If they hadn't risked their lives to protect me, I'm afraid that my father would have died. When Bai Yinchi said this, the veins on her forehead bulged. She was also very angry. Why didn't you tell us about this? If we had left earlier. Sima Yue blamed herself. You are my benefactors. How can we hand you over? Bai Yinchi patted Sima Yue's shoulder. The domineering army has always wanted to make a move on us. Qin Wu's incident was just an excuse. Sun Ranran said. Even without you guys, they would find other reasons. Don't take it to heart. How could he not take it to heart? You said they sent 2 spirit paragons? Sima Yue asked. Yes, Qin Mo sent him, Bai Yinchi said. Qin Mo? Shi Yueshi's mother? Yes. Bai Yinchi nodded. Qin Ming is the elder brother, Qin Mo is the middle, and Qin Wu is the youngest. Originally, the domineering army was just a small mercenary group. However, for some reason, His Majesty took a fancy to Qin Mo and married her as his concubine. Ever since Qin Mo became the princess consort, the only one left was Shi Yueshi, who was extremely talented. The domineering army developed and became one of the 3 largest mercenary groups. We don't know how they found out that we killed Qin Wu, so they used this incident to make trouble for us. Those 2 spirit paragons were sent by Qin Mo to avenge Qin Wu. Sima Yue heard Bai Yinchi's words and narrowed her eyes. West Moon Kingdom's consort, huh? Sigh, just like Mother said, the domineering army has been spying on us for a long time. Even if this incident didn't happen, there would be another one. Bai Yinchi comforted when she saw that Sima Yue's expression was not right. Sima Yue looked at this family. This incident was all because of the 5 of them. However, not only did they not hand her over to make peace, they even comforted her in this situation. She really didn't know whether to call them stupid or stupid. However, she was really touched by their kindness. Don't worry, I will definitely cure uncle. Not knowing how to express her feelings, Sima Yue could only promise like this. West Moon Kingdom's royal family, very good, very good. Yue, can my father really be like before? Bai Yinchi looked at Sima Yue and asked. Sima Yue came to the bedside and looked at Bai Yin-chun's condition, saying, I need a quiet environment. It's best if everyone else leaves. At the same time, this was to prevent others from finding out about the situation here. No problem. Prepare a pool. 3 meters long and a meter deep will do. All right. Also let our Bei Gong Tang, Ouyang Fei and the others come and help me. This time, Bai Ranran went out and said that Sima Yue wanted to save Bai Yin-chun's life. When those people asked about Bai Yin-chun's condition, Sun Ranran told them everything that Sima Yue had said with a red nose. When those people heard that even if he was cured, he could only lie on the bed as a cripple, their expressions were all different. Even if he can only lie on the bed in the future, I still want to save him. Although Old Master has fallen, the mercenary group cannot fall. You guys should go and do what you need to do. You can't mess things up, understand? Understood. You can all disperse. Sun Ranran waved her hand, and those people left the courtyard. Bei Gong Tang and the others stood in their original positions without moving. Those people had already told them the reason for Bai Yin-chun's injury. The 4 of them blamed themselves and wanted to see if they could help. You guys can come in, Sun Ranran said to them. Seeing Bei Gong Tang and the others enter, Little Tu also followed in. Yue uncle, he really? Fatty Chu said as he looked at the lifeless Bai Yin-chun on the bed. He can still be saved. Sima Yue said. But I need your help. Just tell us what you need us to do. Okay. The pond that Sima Yue asked for just happened to be in this courtyard. She let Bai Yinchi fill it with water. After that, together with Bei Gong Tang and Ouyang Fei, the 3 of them took out many medicinal ingredients to refine them. They poured the essence of the ingredients into the pond. When the water changed color, Bei Gong Tang and the others continued. She went to remove the silver needles from Bai Yin Chun's body and let Bai Yunqi carry him into the pond. Yunqi, you have to support Uncle well. You can't let him fall. Sima Yue said. I understand. Bai Yunqi nodded. Sima Yue let Bei Gong Tang and the others continue to refine the medicinal ingredients. She sat opposite Bai Yin Chun and guided the medicine in the water into his body. At the same time, she used the silver needles and spiritual energy to connect his meridians. This entire process required a high level of concentration. In the house, other than Bei Gong Tang and Ouyang Fei, there was only Bai Yunqi in the water and Sun Ran on the shore. There was also Chong Ming, who had been invited to ensure her safety. Seeing her like this, they didn't even dare to breathe loudly. Sima Yue didn't say anything, but Bei Gong Tang and Ouyang Fei didn't stop refining the medicinal ingredients. They did their best to maintain the medicinal effects of the water. This continued for 3 days. If it wasn't for the fact that Bei Gong Tang and Ouyang Fei had been trained to have abnormal mental strength, the two of them would have collapsed long ago. Chapter 202. Bai Yunqi supported Sima Yue from behind Bai Yuan Chun. Seeing that Sima Yue's complexion was getting worse and worse, she gritted her teeth and continued to connect her father's meridians. Her heart was moved beyond words. 3 days later, Sima Yue put away the silver needles in her hand and took out a pill for him to eat. Then she smiled at Bai Yunqi and said, "It's done." After saying that, she fell backwards. Yue! Yue! Several voices rang out at the same time. Because Bai Yunqi was separated by Bai Yuan Chun, she reached out to grab her, but was unable to do so. Just as her head was about to be submerged in the water, a figure quickly swept past, scooped her up from the water, and flew her to the opposite shore. Chongming held Sima Yue in his arms. Seeing that she had completely fainted, he asked anxiously, "What happened to her?" "She just fainted from exhaustion," Bei Gong Tang said. Although she and Ouyang Fei did not faint, they both sat down on the ground because they were too relaxed. Sun Ran quickly came up and helped the two of them sit down. She looked at them gratefully and said, "Thank you for your hard work. I'll bring her back to rest first." Chongming carried Sima Yue and walked out, but was stopped by Bei Gong Tang, who asked him to carry her over. Bei Gong Tang took out 3 pills and gave one to Ouyang Fei. She ate one herself and gave the remaining one to Chongming. Chongming gave it to Sima Yue before carrying her away. "Yunqi, you can let go of Uncle now," Bei Gong Tang reminded Yunqi as she had eaten a pill and was more spirited. Oh, Bai Yunqi released Bai Yin Chun. Because Bai Yin Chun's meridians had all been reconnected, he could now sit on his own. He went ashore, leaving his father alone in the pool. Just as he was about to ask his father when he would wake up, the pool emitted the light of advancement. "Oh no, if others see this," Sun Ran exclaimed. "Auntie, you don't have to worry. You had already set up a barrier outside. The people outside won't be able to see what's happening here," Bei Gong Tang said. "Barrier?" Sun Ran was stunned. That child is really thoughtful. "How long will it take for my father to wake up?" Bai Yunqi asked. "You'll be able to wake up after you advance," Bei Gong Tang said. "Furthermore, after advancing in rank, he'll be able to absorb the spiritual energy in the pond into his body. I estimate that it'll take a while." "Thank you, Bei Gong Ouyang." Bai Yunqi looked at the two of them. It was his fortune to have met them. "Since there's a barrier here, we'll send you back to rest first," Sun Ran said. Bei Gong Tang nodded. There was no use for them to stay here. They might as well go back and cultivate to recover their physical and mental strength. Sun Ran went up to support Bei Gong Tang, while Bai Yunqi supported Ouyang Fei. The 4 of them left the house, leaving behind Bai Yuan Chun, who was still advancing in rank. When they returned to the place where they were staying, Wei Ziqi and Fatty Chu were anxiously waiting in the courtyard. Seeing Sun Ran and the others supporting Bei Gong Tang and Ouyang Fei, they hurried over and asked, "How are you guys?" "We're fine," Bei Gong Tang smiled. "Just now, Chongming carried Yue back. You guys should quickly go in and rest. Wei Ziqi went up to support Bei Gongtang, while Fatty Chu also went to support Ouyang Fei. Andi, Ziqi, you guys go and take care of Uncle, Bei Gongtang said to Sun Ranran. Alright, you guys should rest well. We'll go and arrange things before coming back to see you. Sun Ranran brought Bai Yunqi and left after she finished speaking. The three of you really put in a lot of effort. Fatty Chu sighed. Uncle got injured because of us. We naturally have to do our best to heal him, Bei Gongtang said. Alright, quickly help us into the house. Sima Yue was lying on the bed. Her face was still very pale. Chongming's heart was in a mess, and she didn't know where he ran off to after sending her back. A black fog seeped out from the devil's snare bracelet, and Mo Sha appeared beside the bed. Seeing her current state, his face darkened as he said, You really don't want to live anymore. Although he sounded unhappy, he closed his eyes and activated his martial arts. His originally illusory right arm slowly started to solidify. Spirit solidification. Only when his entire arm solidified did Mo Sha open his eyes. He moved his right hand and said, This feeling is still the best. It's a pity that it can't completely solidify now and it won't last long. He walked in front of Sima Yue and stretched out his hand to touch her face. He muttered, It's actually this kind of feeling. Sima Yue laid on the bed without any movement. She didn't know what was happening in front of her eyes. He actually used up all of his spiritual power and spiritual power. Do you not want to live anymore? Mo Sha pinched her nose harshly. After he took his hand away, her nose became bright red. I really don't want to bother with you. But with you lying down like this, my eyes hurt. As he spoke, he took out a jade bottle. Inside it was the spirit fluid that Sima Yue usually prepared for him. He pried open her mouth and poured a drop in. Only then did her depleted mental energy recover. Only then did her body start to absorb the spiritual energy from the outside. Only then did she slowly resume her cultivation. Her mental energy was completely depleted, and her spiritual energy was completely depleted. Her body was like a machine without oil. Everything stopped working. If it wasn't for Mo Sha's help, who knew what would have happened to her? Mo Sha kept the jade bottle and wanted to pinch Sima Yu's face again to vent his unhappiness. However, the moment his hand touched her skin, before he could exert any strength, it returned to how it was before. I can only hold on for a while. Mo Sha was still not satisfied with his current strength. Although his spiritual energy recovered quite a bit after he formed a contract with Sima Yue, it still made him feel powerless. If you do this again, I'll hang you up and beat you. Mo Sha returned to the bracelet after he finished speaking. He didn't realize that his tone had a hint of pampering. Sima Yue seemed to have sensed something. Even though she was unconscious, she still furrowed her brows. On the other side, when Bai Yunqi and the others returned, Bai Yin Chun had already woken up. He was currently in the pond absorbing the remaining medicinal energy. Father, you're awake. Bai Yunqi excitedly looked at Bai Yin Chun. Bai Yin Chun was in the water. When he saw his wife, he asked suspiciously, Didn't I die? How come not only am I completely fine, I even advanced in rank? It was Yue and Bei Gong Ouyang who saved you. Bai Yunqi said. They saved me? Bai Yin Chun was flabbergasted. That's right. Because they saved you. The three of them are now paralyzed. Yue even fainted. Bai Yunqi said. What happened? Bai Yunqi explained how Sima Yue and the others had saved her. In the end, she concluded. Aren't they powerful? However, the medicinal ingredients they refined for you in these 3 days would probably cost a few 100,000 gold coins. In this kind of water, it would be hard for you not to advance in rank. Bai Yin Chun lowered his head to look at the water that still had some color. He said, This time, I really have to thank them properly. Bei Gong said that you've just advanced in rank. Absorbing the medicinal energy in the water can help you consolidate your strength. Bai Yin Chun nodded. When he woke up, he discovered that he could absorb it. We'll talk about this later. Right now, tell me about the mercenary group's current situation. Chapter 203. Sun Ranran explained the current situation to him. If it wasn't for her arrangements these past few days, they would have been dead by now. Brother Chun, I think we have a domineering guild spy here. And his rank isn't low either. Sun Ranran finally said. Traitor. Sun Ranran nodded and said, not many people know that you guys killed Qin Wu, and even fewer people know that your father is going to personally carry out a mission, and where he is going to carry out the mission. However, the domineering army knows about this. Bai Yuan Chun agreed and said, the last time I saw Qin Ming come to ask for people, I already had this kind of conjecture. However, because of the urgency of the situation, I didn't have the time to find the traitor. Then Yue must have guessed it. No wonder she wanted to keep the news of father's recovery a secret, Bai Yunqi said. That child is also a smart child. He guessed this from a few words of others. Sun Ranran said, Dad, Mom, what should we do next? Bai Yunqi asked. Right now, many of the teams that went out on missions have been killed by the domineering army. They haven't made a move against us yet, so I guess they're just waiting to slowly cut off our branches. Sun Ranran said, Brother Chun, how strong are those two spirit paragons? One is level 2, and the other is level 3. Bai Yuan Chun said, now that I've advanced to level 3, I'm still a little lacking compared to them. That third-level spiritual elder doesn't seem to have advanced recently. What's there to be afraid of? Bai Yunqi said, since they have 2 spirit paragons, we'll just kill one of them. Father was almost killed. We can't just let it go like this. Killing one is easier said than done. Sun Ranran frowned. Mother, have you forgotten that we have someone even more powerful? Bai Yunqi said. Even more powerful? Sun Ranran stared blankly at first, then she suddenly realized and said, you mean Chongming? That's right, it's him. Bai Yunqi said, he's a sacred beast. Even if another dozen spirit paragons came, he wouldn't be afraid. She was afraid that he wouldn't be willing to help. After all, he only promised to protect Yue. If it's possible, we can ask Yue for help. Sun Ranran thought for 2 seconds and said, that child doesn't seem like a difficult person to talk to. It's not just difficult to talk to them. Didn't you see Ziqi and the others' expressions just now? I think they're already bearing a grudge against the domineering army. Bai Yunqi was filled with envy, jealousy and hatred towards their relationship. In this world, there were very few people who cared so much about people who were not related to them by blood. Using Fatty Chu's words, they were not family, but they were closer than family. Many relatives couldn't even do what they did. After discussing for a long time, they decided to temporarily not spread the news of Bai Yuan Chun's recovery. They only said that his life was no longer in danger, and that he would spend the rest of his life in bed. As soon as he told the elders about this bad news, the domineering army received the news. Qin Ming, Qin Wan, Shi Yueshi and a few others were in the living room, discussing the matter of exterminating the sand gulls. Hearing that Bai Yuan Chun had already woken up and had become a cripple, Qin Ming laughed loudly and said that they could begin. Father, why aren't we pursuing them? Why are we waiting for so many days? Qin Wan didn't understand. Haven't we been taking care of the sand gulls these few days? I want to see if that Bai Yuan Chun will be able to get reinforcements. If someone were to suddenly appear and mess things up, it would be troublesome. Qin Ming said. However, we've waited for 3 days and no one has come. This means that the sand gulls have run out of luck. We can make our move now. I see. Then father, when are we going to make our move? Qin Wan asked. Qin Ming did not reply, but turned his gaze to Shi Yueshi and asked, Princess, when do you think is a good time? Let's wait for 2 more days. Shi Yueshi said. Master Jiang has returned to the capital for some matters. We'll wait for him to return before we make our move. Master Jiang was one of the 2 spirit paragons. All right, then we'll wait for 2 more days. Qin Ming said. We'll let the sand gulls live for 2 more days. Furthermore, we can use these 2 days to receive those who are willing to join us. Shi Yueshi stood up and said. Then we'll come back 2 days later. Teacher Hu, let's go back. After she finished speaking, she brought the other spirit paragon and left the sand gulls. Sima Yue woke up in the afternoon of the 2nd day. During this time, Bai Yunqi and Sun Ranran came to see her. Seeing that she was still unconscious, they were extremely worried. It was a good thing that Bei Gong Tang and the others had already recovered. They also said that Sima Yue was fine. Only then did the 2 of them relax. When Sima Yue woke up, she felt a pair of eyes looking at her. When she opened her eyes, she saw Chongming sitting by her bed, staring straight at her. Chongming? Sima Yue's voice was a little hoarse. Why? Chongming asked. What do you mean why? Sima Yue felt her head hurt a little. She raised a hand to support her forehead, not knowing what Chongming was asking. Chongming did not say anything else, but stood up and walked out. Sima Yue blinked, muttering to herself. What's wrong with this guy? Chongming walked out, and very quickly, someone pushed the door open and entered. How are you? Bei Gongtang came to the bedside and sat down. Seeing that Sima Yue's complexion was still not very good, she asked. It's not a big problem. Sima Yue sat up asking, how are you and Ouyang? Luckily, you gave us the soul fluid in advance. Bei Gongtang said. We each took a drop and have already recovered. That's good. This time, I really have to thank you guys. Sima Yue said. If it were not for the two of them working together, she would not have been able to cure Bai Yuan Chun. What are you thanking us for? Isn't your problem our problem? Moreover, we all had a part to play in killing Qin Wu. Bei Gongtang glared at Sima Yue. However, what do you plan to do this time? Domineering? Sima Yue asked. Bei Gongtang nodded. Sima Yue laughed coldly. If people don't offend me, I won't offend them. If people offend me, then I won't be polite. Then I'll call the few of them in to discuss this. Bei Gongtang left after speaking, and the few of them quickly came in. Yue, how are you? Wei Ziqi asked concernedly. I'm fine. Sima Yue smiled as she replied. This domineering army is too much. They actually used us as an excuse. Fatty Chu said hatefully. This time we'll definitely make them regret it. That's right. They want to use this opportunity to swallow the sandgulls. Then we'll make them choke to death. Wei Ziqi's eyes revealed a ruthless glint, replacing his usual cultured and refined self. All right. Then let's discuss what to do now. Sima Yue nodded. Half an hour later, Sun ran, and Bai Yunqi heard a servant report that Sima Yue and the others had come over. Yue has woken up? Quickly let them in. Bai Yunqi ordered. Yes. Sima Yue and the others came in. Seeing Sun ran, Bai Yunqi and Li Kuei, they were a little surprised that there were so few people. Bai Yunqi scurried in front of Sima Yue, held her shoulders and looked at her asking, Yue, you're finally awake. How are you feeling? Chapter 204. Sima Yue shrugged and said, I'm fine now. That's good. Bai Yunqi let go of her shoulder and said, Thank you. You're welcome. Sima Yue smiled and said, When we came, we saw some people packing up. What's going on? Upon hearing her mention this, Bai Yunqi and the other two people's expressions turned ugly. Those people are traitors. Bai Yunqi said hatefully. What happened? Fatty Chu asked. Li Kuei sighed and said, The domineering army has spread word that they will bring people to massacre us sandgulls the day after tomorrow. They even said that those who are willing to join the domineering army can be spared. Those people are going after the domineering faction. What? Bei Gongtang and the others looked at Sun ran in shock. Seeing her nod, they knew that this was true. Let them leave, Sun ran said. The fact that they left now means that their hearts for the sandgulls aren't firm enough. It's a good opportunity to get rid of those traitors. Sometimes, it doesn't matter how many people there are, as long as they are the best. Sima Yue said, It's better to have nothing than to have something substandard. It's not necessarily a good thing for those people to stay in the sandgulls. We can take this opportunity to get rid of them. But with so many people gone, how are we going to fight against the domineering army the day after tomorrow? Li Kuei asked worriedly. We're here to discuss this matter with you. Sima Yue said. Yue, why don't you leave first? Li Kuei looked at Sima Yue and the others, saying, When you leave West Moon Kingdom and go to Central Wu Kingdom, you will be safe. Uncle Li, don't forget that we are not weak. Sima Yue said. If there is danger, Chongming will protect me. That's right. How could I forget about the sacred beast? Li Kuei's originally worried eyes instantly lit up. It was all because Chongming was too low-key and restrained his aura. that people overlooked him. But Chongming also said that he would only take care of the stronger ones, Sima Yue added. All right, as long as we take care of those strong people, we have the confidence to deal with the rest. Li Kuei said confidently. Then he sighed. It would be great if guild leader could fight alongside us. He often said that he would bring people to wipe out the domineering army. Now that the two groups are facing each other, he is the first to fall. Brotherly, come with me. You guys come too. After Sun Ran finished speaking, she brought them to her, and Bai Yuan Chun's room. Sima Yue and the rest knew that Bai Yin Chun was fine, so they were not too surprised. The moment Li Kuei entered and saw the person sitting by the bed, he stuttered. Commander? Li Kuei, when did you start stuttering? Bai Yuan Chun asked with a smile. Li Kuei excitedly walked over. Seeing that Bai Yin Chun was completely unharmed, he said in disbelief. Leader, it's really you. You're all right. Yeah, Yue and the rest saved me. After Bai Yuan Chun finished speaking, he looked at Yue and the rest gratefully. Li Kuei did not think that they would really be able to heal Bai Yuan Chun. He turned around and gave them a long bow, saying, Thank you all. Sima Yue went up to help Li Kuei up, saying, Uncle Li is too courteous. Brother Chun, from yesterday afternoon until today, more than 100 people have already left. Sun Ran said, I think that the day after tomorrow, I'm afraid that there will be many more who will want to rely on the domineering army. Bai Yuan Chun was not surprised. These past few years, the Sangulls had developed too quickly. The people they recruited were not all good seedlings, and not all of them were loyal. He also wanted to use this opportunity to clean up the domineering army. How many of the higher-ups have left? 7 or 8 have left. One of the senior figures has left. Sun Ran replied. Who? Yangcheng. Sima Yue did not have much influence on Yangcheng. However, she guessed that this person should be the one who leaked the news of them killing Qin Wu. I didn't think that Yangcheng had already relied on others. He sold our information in exchange for benefits, Li Kuei said angrily. When he left, he said that he had already been bought over by the domineering army 3 years ago. I was wondering why the domineering army knew about our matters these past 2 years. As expected. Don't tell anyone about my recovery for now. I want to see how many of our 1,000 people will be left. Bai Yuan Chun said. Yes, leader. Yes, father. Actually, the plan that Sima Yue and the others had discussed was very simple. If 1 came, they would kill 1. If 2 came, they would kill 2. Also, to capture the bandits, they had to capture the leader first. Once they got rid of the domineering army's leader, the rest of the shrimp soldiers and crab generals would not be a problem. Sun Ran had said that the mercenary group would not blame those who were willing to leave. However, once they left, they would never be part of the Sangulls. If the Sangulls were lucky enough to survive this calamity, then those people would not be able to return. With Sun Ran's words, many people who were still looking for excuses to leave did not bother to find excuses anymore. They left without even saying goodbye. A large number of them directly sought refuge with the domineering army, while the rest left the imperial capital. Bai Yuan Chun heard Sun Ran's report and only said, Good. His indifferent expression did not reveal any emotions. As for Sima Yue and the others, they were cultivating in their own courtyard. In order to recover to her peak condition, she ate a large number of pills and entered into a state of cultivation. 1 day later, she brought 2 spirit paragons and appeared on time. The domineering army's people were already prepared and ready to go. Among them, there were quite a number of people who had transferred over from the Sangulls. Princess, she looked at those people and said, We will not directly participate in the battle. If there are people that you cannot handle, then Master and the others will take action. Princess is thinking too much. Qin Ming said, We have received accurate information that many of the Sangulls higher-ups have left. Without Bai Yuan Chun, the spirit paragon, to hold the fort, they are now like a sheet of loose sand. Princess and the rest of the elders can just watch from the side. That would be the best. She said, You have to settle this quickly. It's royal father's birthday in a few days, and I still have to rush back. Yes, we will go immediately, Qin Ming said and then waved his hand at the domineering army's people, saying, The domineering army's people follow me. Sima Yue, who was cultivating, opened her eyes. She had already recovered to her peak condition. Chongming came in from outside and said, The domineering army's people are here. They've come on time. Let's go take a look. Sima Yue got down from the bed and patted Chongming's shoulder as she passed by, saying, In a while, please do your best to protect Ziqi and the others as well as Uncle's family. What about you? Chongming asked. Me. Sima Yue smiled. I want to have a good battle today to test my current strength. What if you meet with danger? Chongming looked at the smile on Sima Yue's face. That smile was obviously evil, but he did not feel disgusted at all. Instead, he was worried that she might be in danger. I definitely won't fight with someone who is much stronger than me. I'm not an idiot. After Sima Yue finished speaking, she walked around Halcyon and left, leaving him standing there in a daze. Chapter 205. Qin Ming led the domineering army and surrounded the Sandgull mercenary group. Bai Yinchi rushed out with the Sandgulls. When they saw Qin Ming and the others, their expressions turned ugly. Yang Cheng, you traitor! Bai Yinchi scolded when she saw Yang Cheng beside Qin Ming. Yang Cheng sneered, Traitor? I'm not a traitor. I'm just trying to protect myself. You dare say you're not a traitor? Didn't you tell Qin Ming and the others that we killed Qin Wu? Li Kuei said angrily. You're wrong. Yang Cheng said. I didn't tell them directly, but when someone gave me money, I told that person. Who would have thought that they were princess consorts people? In any case, it's all the same. Another senior figure said. Qin Wan looked at the flustered and exasperated Bai Yunqi and smiled proudly. Bai Yunqi, what's wrong with you today? Didn't you always clamor for your father to destroy our mercenary group? Why aren't you barking today? Of course I have to act like a human when I hear a dog barking. Bai Yunqi said disdainfully. What? You're calling me a dog? Qin Wan pointed at Bai Yunqi and shouted. Bai Yunqi crossed her arms and said, Since you like to assume that it's you, then it's you. You, Wan. Qin Ming called out to the enraged Qin Wan and said to the Sandgulls, I'll give you one last chance. If you're willing to join Domineering Guild, we won't kill you. Otherwise, he would be killed without mercy. I'll give you 15 minutes to consider. At this time, she flew over with 2 spirit paragons. She stopped in midair and looked at the people below without saying a word. Seeing that all the spiritual paragons had come, and thinking that they didn't even have a single spiritual paragon on their side, many people started to waver. If you want to leave, I'll say the same thing. I won't blame you. But if we're lucky enough to survive today, you'll never be a member of the Sandgulls. Sun Ranran led Sima Yue and the rest out of the door, and said to those who were wavering, Madam. Many senior figures cried out in alarm when they heard Sun Ranran's words. Madam, we are already weak. If another group of people leaves. Sun Ranran raised her hand to interrupt them. She glanced at those who were still hesitating and said, Since their hearts are no longer on our side, then let's go. Instead of stabbing them in the back when the time comes, it's better to let them stand on the opposite side now. Hearing Sun Ranran's words, those people didn't say anything else. After a quarter of an hour, dozens of Sandgulls had left. Out of more than 1,000 people, only less than 800 were left. It's time. It seems like you people would rather die than submit. Qin Ming said. Since it's like this, we'll fulfill your wishes. Don't worry. After you go down, I will send your leader down to accompany you. Are you talking about me? An honest and powerful voice came from the door, startling the people outside. Bai Yin Chun, didn't you become a cripple? Qin Ming looked at Bai Yin Chun, who was striding out. How did he look like a cripple? Bai Yin Chun stood in front of them like a mountain, stabilizing the hearts of the Sandgulls. Ha ha! Just because others say that I've become a cripple, I'm a cripple? You actually believe in hearsay. This only shows that you're still too childish. Bai Yin Chun laughed out loud. Ha ha! When the Sandgulls heard their leader say this, they all laughed out loud. Although the situation was very dangerous, everyone regained their confidence when they saw him. As for those who left, They all seemed to feel guilty towards Bai Yun Chun. They all lowered their heads and didn't look at him. Impossible, your meridians were clearly all broken. How could you have recovered? Master Hu, who was in the air, said as he exerted pressure on him. However, he was pushed back by Bai Yun Chun's pressure. Third level spirit paragon. Master Hu was pushed back by the pressure. You've advanced in rank? Haha, that's right. Not only have I recovered, I've also advanced in rank. Bai Yun Chun said. People of the domineering army, listen up. I'll also give you a chance. If you're willing to leave the domineering army and not participate in this matter, I can let bygones be bygones. Otherwise, if one comes, I'll kill one. If two comes, I'll kill two. Bai Yun Chun, you're too insolent. Qin Ming snorted. Even if you've become a third-level spirit paragon, don't forget that we have a second-level spirit paragon and a third-level spirit paragon. Furthermore, you've just become a spirit paragon. How can you compare to Spirit Paragon Lu, who has been a third-level spirit paragon for many years? Even if you didn't die, let's do it again today. Spirit Paragon Lu said indifferently. Aside from being a little surprised when he saw Bai Yun Chun, he didn't have much of an expression. Is that so? Then let's see if you still have the ability. After Bai Yun Chun finished speaking, he leapt into the air and confronted them. Qin Ming flew up as well. Looking at Bai Yun Chun, he said, including me, we have a total of 3 spirit paragons. Do you think that a single spirit paragon like you can reverse the situation? Who said that we only have a single spirit paragon? Bai Yunchi looked at Qin Ming with ridicule. I've already said that people who hear rumors are very childish. You still don't admit it. Don't tell me that you can find 2 more spirit paragons? Do you think that spirit paragons are cabbages? Qin Wan snorted disdainfully at his words. Are you stupid? The most concentrated is the essence. We only need 1 person to take care of all of you, Fatty Chu said while rubbing his nose. Image. Ouyang Fei reminded him indifferently from the side. When did he have an image? Wei Ziqi smiled faintly. That's true. Ouyang Fei nodded. Hey. I just felt that I was very imposing. Why did you guys tear down my stage? Fatty Chu said unhappily. This isn't called tearing down your stage. Tearing down a stage isn't done in this way. Fatty, your words are inappropriate. Sima Yue also joined in. The 5 of them were chatting and laughing. There was no sense of danger at all. This made the other party very unhappy. Sima Yue, you're the one who killed my 5th uncle. Today, I will definitely kill you to avenge my 5th uncle. Qin Wan shouted. You. Sima Yue glanced at her and said indifferently, you're not qualified. If she's not qualified, then what about me? She looked directly at Sima Yue, setting her as her opponent. Sima Yue didn't like to raise her head to look at people. She flew into the air and looked at Shi saying, why do you women always like to fight with me? I'm not interested in women. Why don't we let our Beigong spar with you? Beigong Tang just happened to fly to Sima Yue's side. She looked at Shi and nodded, saying, I'll reluctantly help you deal with this. A bunch of arrogant people. Spirit Paragon who saw that they were looking down on Shi and exerted pressure on them. He wanted to annoy them, but that pressure had no effect on them at all. This made the 2 mercenary groups extremely shocked. Chapter 206. How is this possible? Even Spirit Supremacy who couldn't believe it. He was well aware of Spirit Supremacy whose aura. Spirit Supremacy, whose aura was much stronger than others. Spirit Supremacy whose aura was even stronger than others. However, Sima Yue and Beigong Tang did not feel anything at all. Could it be that they were spiritual venerables? Many people thought so, but they quickly dismissed this idea. How could such a young spiritual venerable be possible? How can you resist Master Hu's pressure? Could it be that the 2 of you have some kind of treasure on you? Shi looked at the 2 of them suspiciously. I wish we had such a treasure too, don't I, Beigong? Sima Yue said. Beigong Tang nodded, agreeing with Sima Yue's idea. If it wasn't for the help of the treasure, how could you possibly withstand this pressure? She didn't believe it. If you practice like this, you'll be able to do it, right, Halcyon? After Sima Yu finished speaking, she glanced at Halcyon, who was standing on the rooftop without moving. Chongming understood what she meant and flew to her side. Someone from Domineering Army recognized him and exclaimed, "Ah, I remember now. He's the sacred beast that started the spirit beasts in Mountain Water City a while ago." Sacred beast. There was an uproar below. Everyone's eyes were wide open, and their jaws were about to drop to the ground. Halcyon glanced at Spirit Sovereign Hu. That gaze made his body stiffen, and he fell from the sky. Chongming's identity had reversed the entire situation, making the onlookers' jaws drop. Those who had left were filled with regret. They felt that San Gul was going to die, so they wanted to leave. However, the appearance of this sacred beast was enough to wipe out everyone in the Domineering Army. Qin Ming and the rest were scared silly. With a sacred beast, how could they still fight? If they had known earlier that the other party had a sacred beast, they would definitely have waited for Sima Yue and the rest to leave before attacking. Now that things were like this, they couldn't retreat even if they wanted to. Sima Yue smirked. "I heard that Leader Qin asked Uncle Bai to hand us over. We are here now. What do you plan to do? Do you want us to bring our heads here?" Without waiting for the other party to reply, she continued, "Yes, you even plan to use us as an excuse to destroy the Sangulls. We can't agree to that. Yue, why are you still talking nonsense with them? They've already come all the way to our doorstep. No matter what, we'll make sure they don't return today," Bai Yunqi shouted. Sima Yue nodded and said, "Chongming said that he won't attack those who are weak. It's too damaging to his dignity, so you have to deal with those who are below spiritual venerable by yourselves. Oh, that Master Hu, he's the one who injured Uncle. Chongming, don't kill him. Leave him for Uncle to avenge himself." "Aya Yue, this is the first time I felt that you're so slow." Fatty Chu couldn't suppress the fighting spirit in his body and raised his fist as he charged towards the other party. Once he moved, the Sangulls who had been suppressing their anger also moved. They had accumulated too much anger in their hearts over the past 2 days. Today, they could vent it all out, so everyone's fighting spirit was very strong. Although Sima Yue had said that Chongming wouldn't attack those who were weak, once they thought that he was a member of the Sangulls, the small fries from the Domineering Army were scared stiff, and their fighting spirit plummeted. Although the Domineering Army had about twice the number of the Sangulls, their fighting spirit was far from the Sangulls. They had been at a disadvantage since the beginning. Sima Yue looked at the chaotic scene below and said, "I'll leave this to you guys." After speaking, she went down to join the battle. "I'll also experience your strength." After Shi Yushi finished speaking, she attacked Bei Gongtang. The two of them fought further and further in the air. Bai Yun Chun also attacked Spiritual Venerable Hu, leaving Spiritual Venerable Lu to guard against Chongming. Chongming sighed and said, "Actually, I don't like to kill people. But who asked you to provoke her?" After speaking, he closed his eyes. When he opened them again, there were only 2 pupils in his eyes. He stared straight at Spiritual Venerable Lu. His expression changed, and Spiritual Venerable Lu was immediately imprisoned. "Break," Chongming said faintly, and the space that imprisoned Spiritual Venerable Lu immediately broke apart. His body also turned into a bloody mist. This scene caused the people below to be stunned. He had only stood in his original position without moving, but he had already exterminated a 3rd-level Spiritual Venerable. Not even a trace of him was left. Even Sima Yue shivered when she saw this scene. If he had directly used this move on her at that time, would Qi Yin still be able to save her? The scene of Spiritual Venerable Lu being killed fiercely attacked everyone's hearts. The difference between the two sides, auras, was once again pulled apart. The City Lord of Peace City had originally said that he was going to save Shi Yushi, but when he saw Chongming, he was so scared that he immediately retreated back to the City Lord's residence. Oh my God! How did this Domineering Army provoke such an existence? The City Lord slapped his chest and cursed. It was a good thing that he did not express his loyalty to help Shi Yushi from the start. Otherwise, he would have become a soul under this blade. Many powers had the same thoughts. It was a good thing that they did not participate in this matter. As for those powers that had a good relationship with the Sangulls in the past, but did not extend a helping hand this time. They were endlessly regretful. With an existence like a sacred beast, how could the Sangul's future development be bad? Haha, I've never fought with so many people before. Fatty Chu waved his fists. One punch was enough to deal with one person. He was very satisfied. Sima Yu looked for those who were a little more powerful to battle. However, those people had been scared silly by Halcyon, and were not her match at all. Her thoughts of looking for someone to have a good battle were dashed. It was as if she had fiercely thrown a punch, but had only hit a ball of cotton. This caused her to feel extremely gloomy. This battle continued for an entire day. The few streets in front of the Sangul's were filled with corpses. Those people who came really did not return. Shi Yuxi and Bei Gongtang's strength were comparable. In the final battle, she was unfortunately killed by Bei Gongtang. Fatty Chu looked at the corpse on the ground and shook his head, saying, "A good princess just had to participate in this matter. It's too late to regret now. Her strength is indeed not bad. If not for Bei Gong training in the mountains for so long, I'm afraid that she would not be her opponent." Wei Ziqi said. "In any case, she's not a good person." Ouyang Fei said. What he did not say was that it was fine to kill her. This princess is very loved by the West Moon Kingdom's emperor. If we kill her, won't we completely offend the West Moon Kingdom's royal family? Bei Gongtang said apologetically. What's there to be afraid of? We'll deal with whatever comes our way. If the West Moon Kingdom's royal family has any brains, they should not have come to find trouble with us. Otherwise, we'll make them restless. Sima Yue shrugged. She did not take this to heart. At worst, she would just say that Chongming killed her, and they wanted revenge. All right, go find Chongming for revenge. Chongming seemed to have sensed her thoughts, and lowered his head to look at her. She did not know what he was thinking. Chapter 207. It was within everyone's expectations that the three great mercenary groups would become two great mercenary groups. After all, everyone had already heard about the domineering army and the Sangul's a few days ago. However, no one expected the domineering mercenary group to be annihilated. This caused many people to lose their bets. Bai Yun Chun and the others did not have the time to care about the opinions of the people outside, because he was currently leading the fire and water attribute members of the mercenary group to clean up the corpses in front of them. They had originally wanted to burn it all, but Fatty Chu had told them that these people had done many bad things over the years and had stolen many things, so they definitely had quite a collection. Those spatial rings and whatnot shouldn't be wasted, as they might be able to accumulate quite a bit of wealth after collecting them. At the very least, those 1,000 rings would still be worth some money. Therefore, those people could only turn over the corpses one by one and collect all the spatial rings on the corpses. Then, they let the fire attribute people burn the corpses, and the water attribute people wash the streets. Peace City was destined to be sleepless tonight. Many people looked at the fiery red sky in this direction and lamented the impermanence of the world. The domineering mercenary group was gone just like that. Many people were not used to it. If Sima Yue knew about this, she would definitely spit at them. You guys are masochists. Sima Yue, Bei Gongtang and the others had refined many lower-grade pills for the injured people. They were already familiar with these pills, and could refine a lot in one furnace. Furthermore, their refining speed was especially fast. The three of them finished refining pills for 400 to 500 people in one night. Yue, thank you. Bai Yunqi took the pills from Sima Yue and thanked her. If it weren't for you, I think we would have been doomed. But we've gotten ourselves into bigger trouble, and we might even implicate you. Sima Yue said. Are you talking about killing Shi Yueshi and the two spirit paragons? Sima Yue nodded. You don't have to worry about this. Our West Moon Kingdom's emperor is still very open-minded. The most important thing is that he knows how to judge the situation. He clearly knows that a sacred beast is involved in this matter, so he will not pursue this matter any further. Sun Ranran said. Right, unless he dares to use the entire West Moon Kingdom to fight against the sacred beast. Bai Yunqi said. But isn't that Shi Yuxi favored by the royal family? Fatty Chu said. One is she, one is a sacred beast. Which one do you think you will choose? Wei Ziqi asked. Of course it's a sacred beast, Fatty Chu said with certainty. Therefore, His Majesty the Emperor should be the same. If he dares to touch you, we don't mind bringing Chongming back to deal with all of them. At most, I'll just make him run for his life before I escape. Sima Yue said. We're going to the capital anyway. With their abilities, it's impossible that they don't know where we are. When the time comes, I'll go with you, Bai Yunqi said without even thinking. We will go straight to Zhongwu country after we reach the imperial capital. What are you going to do there? Sima Yue disagreed. I'll go with you. If anything happens, I can go with you, Bai Yunqi said. Not good. Wei Ziqi shook his head and said. The few of us have no roots here. If we cause trouble, we can just leave. You have the San Gull army behind you. If anything happens, they will be implicated. But, relax. With Chongming around, do you still have to worry about our safety? Sima Yue said. Bai Yunqi looked at Chongming, who had been quiet the whole time, and said, That's true. No matter what, we will settle this matter thoroughly before leaving West Moon country. Bei Gongtang said. Aya, it's been a tiring day. Let's go back and rest. Sima Yue stretched lazily and said to Sun Ran. Madam, we won't disturb you from cleaning up the mess. All right, you can go back and rest. If anything happens, I will find someone to inform you, Sun Ran said with a smile. She was referring to if the royal family came to find trouble. Sima Yue and the rest went back to rest. They had just reached the courtyard when they saw Little Two pouncing over. Big brother, big sister, are you guys okay? Little Two pounced into Bei Gongtang's embrace and raised his head to ask. We're fine. Were you scared? Bei Gongtang patted his head. No, I've been staying in the enchantment that Little Roar set up. I know that the people outside can't hurt me, Little Two said. Before Sima Yue left, she let Little Roar set up an enchantment to surround this place. The enchantment could withstand the aftermath of the battle. Little Two stayed inside the enchantment the whole time, watching the people in the air fight intensely. He did not take a step out. He had always been very sensible. He knew that it was dangerous outside, so he did not go out. He was not like the other little kids, who would run everywhere out of curiosity or fear. Little Two rests well. In 2 days, I will help you clear your meridians for the last time. After she finished speaking, she went back to the house. Wei Ziqi and the rest were indeed very tired. They all went back to rest. Bei Gongtang patted Little Two's head, and also went back. Little Two stood in the courtyard and looked at their tightly shut doors. His little face was scrunched up. He did not feel happy, because he was about to be able to cultivate. At the same time, the emperor, who was far away in the imperial capital, received an urgent report from Peace City. The city lord of Peace City told him everything that happened the night before. After reading the news, the West Moon Emperor angrily slammed the letter on the table. Your Majesty, what's wrong? The personal bodyguard at the side rarely saw him so angry and asked. He threw the letter at the bodyguard and did not say a word. That bodyguard skimmed through the contents of the letter and raised his head in shock. Your Majesty, the Princess Shi. Not long ago, Shanshui City sent news that a sacred beast had appeared. This time, she actually provoked a sacred beast. The West Moon Emperor said, if the sacred beast is angry, it will definitely alarm the protectors. We may not even be able to defeat it. A sacred beast is an existence that is even stronger than a spirit paragon. Your Majesty, don't be anxious. Who knows, that sacred beast might not find trouble with us. The bodyguard said, I think what it says is that although the sacred beast has not been contracted, it still listens to Sima Yue. If we express goodwill to her and give her some compensation, we may be able to resolve this crisis. We can only do this now. The West Moon Emperor shook his head helplessly. Then he thought of something and stood up from the dragon throne, saying, Go to Warsaw Palace. In the Warsaw Palace, a woman who looked very similar to Shi was currently feeding the fishes by the lake. When she heard the report that the West Moon Emperor had arrived, she quickly put down the bait in her hands and bowed. Greetings, Your Majesty. The West Moon Emperor looked at her and did not speak for a long time. That gaze made Qin Mo feel uneasy. Your Majesty? She raised her head, her eyes filled with grievance. I'm here to tell you two things. The West Moon Emperor said. The first is that she has been killed. The second is that the domineering army has been exterminated by the Sandgulls. What? Qin Mo was so shocked by the West Moon Emperor that she could not stand steadily. The palace maids at the side quickly came forward to support her. Chapter 208. Your Majesty, our child. How could she die? Domineering army. Domineering army has been annihilated. How is this possible? Qin Mo was so frightened that she was incoherent as she grabbed the palace maid's hand. You guys from the domineering army have been rather arrogant these past few years. You guys actually dared to go behind my back for something as important as exterminating the Sandgulls. The West Moon Emperor sneered. Your Majesty, I only feel that there are so many mercenary groups in the West Moon Kingdom, so it doesn't matter if one or two of them are missing. Moreover, they killed my younger brother, so I am merely taking revenge for my younger brother. Qin Mo explained. Revenge? Not only did you fail to take revenge, you even got yourself into trouble. The West Moon Emperor said. You'd better stay here obediently. If you do anything else, don't blame me for disregarding our relationship as husband and wife. After saying that, the West Moon Emperor left without looking back. Qin Mo's vision turned black and he fainted. Your Highness, Your Highness. The palace maid hurriedly had the palace maids by her side come over. Several of them helped Qin Mo to the pavilion at the side. After a while, Qin Mo slowly woke up. The first thing he said when he opened his eyes was, Go and find out what's going on. Unfortunately, when her palace maids received the order, they were informed that they were not allowed to leave Warsaw, and many guards were sent to surround the Warsaw Palace. She also ordered that no one outside the Warsaw Palace was allowed to reveal any information to them. However, that palace maid was quite capable. She managed to find out that Shi Yueshi was killed by Sima Yue and a few others. This Sima Yue, he killed my younger brother, and now he killed my daughter. She and I are irreconcilable. Qin Mo smashed everything in the room, but he still couldn't vent the anger in his heart. However, because the information they received was limited, the people of the Warsaw Palace didn't know about the existence of Chongming. Thus they made a series of wrong decisions, which made them pay a heavy price. Your Highness, I also heard that His Majesty invited a few people to attend the banquet. The palace maid said, Her Majesty's birthday banquet? Why would His Majesty invite them? Qin Mo glared at the palace maid. But this is a good opportunity. If I can't kill them outside the palace, I can do whatever I want in the palace. Nyang, what should we do? Inside the palace asked. Think of a way to contact our people and arrange for them to be near the Spirit Master Guild. Once they come to the capital, kill them without mercy. Qin Mo said. Yes, Your Highness. After speaking, the maidservant went to make the arrangements. Wait, let those spirit paragons go. I don't know what kind of experts they have protecting them, but since Spirit Paragon Hu and Spirit Paragon Lu are both dead, it's useless for those people with lower power to go. Qin Mo said. This servant understands. The palace maid bowed and retreated. Sima Yue, I'll make sure you never return. In Peace City, Sima Yue looked at the smiling city lord. No matter how she looked at him, he looked like a blooming chrysanthemum. Cough cough. May I know why the city lord is looking for us? Wei Ziqi saw Sima Yue's expression and knew that she had thought of something bad. In order to prevent her from saying it out loud, he opened his mouth and asked. The city lord's gaze shifted away from Chongming and took out a glittering invitation card, saying, This is an invitation card that I, the West Moon Emperor, have sent to all of you. I would like to invite all of you to attend His Majesty's birthday banquet in 10 days. Invite us to attend the banquet? Fatty Chu looked at the city lord and said, We don't even know the West Moon Emperor. Why would he invite us? Since the West Moon Emperor's invitation card had already been sent over, it would not be good for them to reject it. After all, They still needed to use the teleportation array in the capital. Wei Ziqi took the invitation card and said, "We will definitely be there on time." "Haha, then let's go together in a few days." The city lord said, "You are not familiar with that place, so I hope I have the honor of being your tour guide." "To be able to go with the city lord is our honor," Wei Ziqi said with a smile. "Ha ha ha, then we will go together," the city lord said with a big laugh. "The invitation card has already been sent over, so I'll go back first. I'll send the city lord out." Bai Yuan Chun made a gesture of invitation and left with the city lord. After the city lord left, Bai Yunqi pursed his lips and said, "He invited you but not us. It's good that you don't go. Who knows whether or not this is a banquet at Hongmen?" Sima Yue said. "That's true." Bai Yunqi nodded. The capital was more dangerous than Peace City. If he went, he might really become a burden to them. "All right, we've already received the invitation card. Let's go back and rest." Sima Yue stretched lazily and went back. Wei Ziqi and the others also went back to their temporary residence. Bei Gongtang did not go. After Sima Yue went back, she went to Little Tu's room. Bei Gongtang was currently teaching Little Tu some basic things. Bei Gongtang saw Sima Yue enter and asked, "Did he call you over for something?" Sima Yue walked over and picked up the teapot on the table, drinking from the spout. After drinking enough, she said, "The West Moon Emperor wants us to attend the banquet 10 days later. The city lord has sent the invitation card." "He wants us to attend the banquet? Banquet at Hongmen?" Bei Gongtang frowned. "I don't think so." Sima Yue said, "With Chongming around, he wouldn't go so far as to invite a sacred beast to attend the banquet, right?" "That's true," Bei Gongtang replied. "We'll leave in a few days. Before we leave, I have to unblock all of Little Tu's meridians," Sima Yue said as she patted Little Tu's head. Little Tu kept his head down and did not speak. His tears fell drop by drop, wetting the front of his clothes. Bei Gongtang saw Little Tu's tears and asked, "Little Tu, what's wrong? Why are you crying?" Little Tu raised his head, his little face full of tears. He looked at the two of them and said, "Elder sister, are you going to abandon Little Tu? You want to unblock all of my meridians before you leave. Then, you won't bring me along when you leave, right?" Little Tu said sadly. Sima Yue and Bei Gongtang looked at each other. They really did plan to do so. "Little Tu, what we're going to do is very dangerous. If you follow us, you'll be in danger," Sima Yue said. "I know. You're going to save grandfather," Little Tu said. "But I want to go with you. You don't want to stay here?" Sima Yue said. "If you stay here, Brother Yunqi will take care of you. You can grow up safe and sound." Little Tu shook his head with all his might, saying, "I want to be with you. Elder sister, take me with you. Little Tu doesn't want to be separated from you. Little Tu, if you follow us, you might face endless pursuits in the future. Do you know that?" Bei Gongtang advised. "But it's different here. Here, you can have a stable environment and receive good nurturing. You might even be able to make a name for yourself in the future." Little Tu still shook his head and said firmly, "I'm not afraid of a homeless life. If there are bad people who bully you, I'll help you beat them up. Elder sister, don't abandon Little Tu, all right?" Chapter 209. Bei Gongtang saw that Little Tu was crying so sadly, and looked at Sima Yue with some difficulty, saying, "Why don't we bring him along? You're at your wit's end when you meet him." Sima Yue looked at Bei Gongtang disapprovingly, saying, "We don't have the final say in this matter. We have to discuss it with them." Facing the unknown fate of the future, staying here was undoubtedly the better choice. Bei Gongtang called Wei Ziqi and the other two over, and told them about Little Tuesday. The three of them were somewhat disapproving. "We don't even know what the situation is with the Sima family in the Wu Kingdom. If they are good, then that's fine. If the other party isn't easy to talk to, then wouldn't it be dangerous for him to follow us?" Wei Ziqi said. "I agree with Ziqi's view." Ouyang Fei said, "But if Little Tu doesn't want to stay here, then he won't be happy staying here." Fatty Chu said, "After we reach the Wu Kingdom, we can make arrangements for him first." Then we can go and save grandfather and the others. Sima Yue shook her head and said, I still don't think it's feasible. We have too many unknowns. Big sister, big brother, you don't have to worry about me. Go and do your work. I'll wait for you nearby. If you want to run, I'll run with you. Little Two said. Since he had said so, Sima Yue and the rest could not just leave him alone. The main thing was that they could all tell that Bei Gongtang was also worried about him. Alas, Sima Yue sighed and said, Little Two, if we all die, you can only become a homeless child again. No, Little Two said seriously. Why? Fatty Chu asked. Little Two looked at Fatty Chu and said, If you're all dead, I'll definitely die too. I won't become a wanderer. The few of them were shocked. Was he already planning to live and die with them? Since we've decided, let's do it this way. Sima Yue said. At most, we'll put him there when something happens. Little Two didn't know about that place, but everyone else understood that it was inside the spirit pagoda. After making the decision, no one hesitated any longer. They all left, leaving Sima Yue and Little Two behind. Sima Yue gave Little Two 2 frost pills. She used her spiritual power to catalyze one of them, while she wrapped the other one in her spiritual power and left it in his body. She found that her spiritual power had increased a lot during this period of time. She planned to unblock the auxiliary meridians after unblocking the 12 meridians, if Little Two could bear it. The remaining 3 meridians were the same as the previous meridians. They were completely blocked. He didn't know what that thing was, but it was so hard that it could block every meridian. Because she was more familiar with controlling Crimson Flame's flames, her progress in unblocking her meridians was much faster this time. After the remaining 3 channels were all unblocked, she dissolved the other cold ice pill and let Little Two's body cool down again. Then, she transferred the flame to his auxiliary meridians. Although the auxiliary meridians were not as blocked as the meridians, there were still many impurities. It was a good thing that these impurities were not as hard as the main meridians. There were also fewer of them, so she cleaned them all in one go. After she withdrew the flame from Little Two's body, he fainted like before. However, Sima Yue was not as tired as before. Bei Gongtang came in and saw that Sima Yue's spirit was not bad. She asked, Is it over? Sima Yue nodded and stood up saying, I've already done what I can do. I'll leave the matter of teaching him cultivation to you guys. I don't have the patience to be a teacher. Bei Gongtang rolled her eyes. If you don't have the patience, then who taught me and Ouyang Yue pills? You guys learned it yourselves. Sima Yue took out a pill and ate it, saying, When he wakes up, you can teach him how to draw spiritual energy into his body. He could feel spiritual energy before, so drawing it into his body shouldn't be too difficult. Okay, you can go and rest, Bei Gongtang said. Before Sima Yue left, she looked at Little Two again. She thought that this guy was really lucky to have met her. She was just as lucky if her meridians had not been sealed by the poison and were blocked by Little Two's iron-like impurities. She was afraid that she would really be a good-for-nothing for the rest of her life. And if Little Two had not met her, he would also be a good-for-nothing for the rest of his life. This was also fate. She sighed in her heart before going back to rest. Little Two only slept for a day before waking up. When he opened his eyes, he saw that the house was empty. He suddenly jumped up from the bed and ran outside barefooted, shouting frantically, Brother, sister. Bei Gongtang, who was refining pills next door, thought that something had happened to him. She was shocked and almost destroyed the ingredients in her hands. Wei Ziqi opened the door and saw the barefooted Little Tuesday. He asked, What's wrong, Little Two? Little Two saw Wei Ziqi and relaxed. He threw himself into Wei Ziqi's embrace and said, I thought you guys left Little Two behind. Wei Ziqi patted Little Two's head and smiled. Since we've already agreed to bring you along, we won't leave you behind again. Little Two nodded his head. How's your situation now? Wei Ziqi asked. Can you cultivate? I don't know either. I woke up and ran out. Little Two said embarrassedly. Wei Ziqi saw his bare feet and smiled. Then let's go to your room. I'll teach you how to cultivate. And okay. Little Two smiled happily. Bei Gongtang heard Wei Ziqi's words and relaxed. She continued to refine the pills in her hands. Little Tu, who had returned to the house, immediately climbed onto the bed and sat cross-legged, according to the cultivation posture. After that, Wei Ziqi began to tell him to close his eyes and meditate. He could feel the spiritual energy, and even told him what attributes the spiritual energy had and what color it was. Brother Ziqi, I can feel spiritual energy a long time ago. Little Tu said. You can feel it a long time ago? Wei Ziqi said in shock. He could not even cultivate, but he could feel it? After Brother Yue helped me clear my meridians for the first time, I can feel spiritual energy. Little Tu replied. Then you can feel other types of spiritual energy? Wei Ziqi thought of the spiritual beast blood in his body. It was normal for this kind of situation to occur. Let me see. Little Tu said and closed his eyes. After that he opened them and said, There's water ice. Oh, there's another type that I don't know. What color is it? Wei Ziqi asked. White. Little Tu said. But it's a little rare. White. Wei Ziqi had never encountered white spiritual energy before. In his mind, he recalled that Feng Zhixing had said that there was a type of attribute that was even rarer than ice, lightning and wind. That was the light attribute and the dark attribute. And the light attribute people could feel that the light was white. He never thought that other than the rare ice attribute, Little Tu actually had the even rarer light attribute. This was a probability that not even 1 out of 100,000 spirit masters would have. This book came from a book hashtag. Chapter 210. In Little Tu's room, Sima Yue and the other 4 were sitting at the table. They were all staring at Little Tu, as if they were looking at a monster. Little Tu was scared by their stares and subconsciously shrunk his neck. Brother, sister Yu, don't look at me like that. Little Tu wailed in his heart. Fatty Chu was the first to speak. Can you really sense the light element? Little Tu nodded fearfully. You can also sense the water and ice elements? Sima Yue looked at him with sparkling eyes. Little Tu nodded fearfully. It's only been a day and a night, and you've already absorbed spiritual energy into your body? Ouyang Fei asked. He continued to nod. Haha, as expected of the seedling we found. Amazing, Bei Gongtang said happily. Comparisons are odious. Fatty Chu cried out as he sprawled on the table. Originally, it was enough to have a Yue provoking us from time to time. Now there's another little doll. I really don't dare to think about it. When he reaches our age, how heaven-defying will he be? Heavens, why are you provoking us like this? The heavens did not hear Fatty Chu's cries, but Sima Yue slapped his head harshly and said, Your innate talent is only used to provoke others outside. Don't cry and howl like a ghost here. There's no justice in this world. You've provoked me, yet you don't even let me vent. Fatty Chu muttered softly. In any case, Little Tu's talent is shocking. Water and ice tsk. In the future, Ziqi and Fatty will be the ones teaching him cultivation. Sima Yue quickly assigned the tasks. Beigong is his sister. We can't just leave him be. Ouyang, your fighting strength is not bad. You can teach Little Tuesday. It's decided then. The 4 people who were named looked at her speechlessly and said, What about you? I'll be in charge of providing resources. And will nurture Little Tuesday. In the future, if anyone bullies us, Little Tu can help us beat them up. Sima Yue said with a smile. Then she looked at Little Tu and asked, Little Tu, is that okay? All right. Little Tu also smiled. No one had ever treated him so well. If anyone dared to bully his brother and sister, he would fight them to the death. Thus from then on, the god of slaughter began his path of growth. Many people saw how he killed people after he grew up, and then saw how obedient he was in front of Sima Yue and Bei Gongtang. They directly said that they were not the same person. For the next few days, they wandered around Peace City and had some fun. When it was 2 days away from the West Moon Emperor's birthday, the city lord came to find them and said that they could leave now. They then bade farewell to Bai Yunqi and the others, and used the teleportation array to go to the imperial capital. Before leaving, Sima Yue gave Bai Yunqi a jade bottle. She did not say what it was, and he did not look at it. He only cared about the sadness of parting. Sigh. I wonder if Yue and the others will return to Peace City? Bai Yinchi sighed. Sun Ranran looked at the vast sky and sighed. That should be their target. Bai Yin Chun looked at the much more mature Bai Yunqi and thanked Sima Yue and the others in his heart for their influence on him. Seeing the jade bottle in Bai Yunqi's hand, he said, "Don't you want to see what he left for you?" "Right. I don't know what kind of pills he left for me. This guy, not only is his strength high, he's also an alchemist. What a blow," Bai Yunqi said as he opened the jade bottle and poured out the pills inside. 2 dazzling golden pills landed in his hand. "Father, why do I feel that these pills are a little familiar?" Bai Yunqi said as he looked at the pills. Bai Yin Chun was so shocked by these 2 pills that he opened his mouth wide. After a while he stammered, Isn't this the 100 revolutions pill that was auctioned at a sky-high price last time?" Only then did Bai Yunqi remember, and carefully looked at the medicinal pill. He mumbled, "It does seem to be quite similar to that medicinal pill." Bai Yun Chun patted Bai Yunqi's head and shouted, "What do you mean it looks like it? This is it, all right?" "You idiot. It really is." Bai Yunqi rubbed his head and said, "Then doesn't that mean that Yue is that mysterious person?" Bai Yin Chun nodded thoughtfully and said, "Looks like she's even more powerful than we thought." Bai Yunqi had already been shocked speechless by the news that he had just received. He lowered his head and looked at the pills in his hand. Thinking about how she had said that she hoped that they would meet again in the future, he made a decision in his heart. In the future, he would develop to a higher level. In the past, he felt that his life in the mercenary group was pretty good. When he met Sima Yue and the others, he sometimes heard them talk about the world above. However, he did not pay much attention to it. Now he felt that if he could, he also wanted to go to that world to take a look and explore it. "Let's go. Your father and I will protect you. Eat this pill," Sun Ranran said as she patted her son who was in a daze. "All right." Sima Yue and the others followed the city lord of Peace City to the imperial capital. The moment they stepped out of the teleportation array, they felt a different atmosphere. Everyone looked at them strangely. "Why are they looking at us like that?" Fatty Chu shrunk to Ouyang Fei's side. "I don't know," Ouyang Fei said honestly. "There's a strong intent that's locked onto us." Sima Yue said as she looked around. "Let's leave this place first," Bei Gong Tang said. Seeing that the few of them looked as if they were facing a great enemy, the city lord of Peace City said, "Everyone, there's no need to panic. I think that the news of you guys exterminating the domineering army has spread here. Everyone is very curious about you guys. Especially your honor. Everyone wants to see your face." Hearing the city lord say this, everyone finally relaxed and followed him out of the Spirit Master Guild. "Greetings to everyone." A beautiful girl bowed towards Sima Yue and the others at the entrance. "Who are you?" Fatty Chu's eyes widened when he saw the beauty. This servant is the person that His Majesty specially appointed to take care of everyone's lives in the imperial capital. This servant's name is Yao Guang. Yao Guang smiled at them, extremely charming. People with weak willpower would not be able to resist her charm. "Did His Majesty know that we were coming today?" The city lord of Peace City asked Yao Guang. His Majesty did not know. However, he ordered this servant to wait here and wait for you to come, so that I can bring you to the inn where you will be staying, Yao Guang replied. After that, she looked at the city lord of Peace City and said, "City lord, His Majesty said that you should go to the usual place." The smile on the city lord of Peace City's face froze. A trace of anger flashed past his eyes, but he quickly suppressed it. He cupped his hands towards Sima Yue and the others and said, "Since His Majesty has arranged a place for you to stay, then we will part ways here. We will meet again at the banquet." Sima Yue and the others originally did not have a good impression of this city lord. Now that they saw him suffer, they were secretly laughing in their hearts. However, no matter what, he was still the city lord of the second largest city. They could not show it too obviously. They cupped their hands and bid him farewell. After he left, the few of them laughed. Chapter 211. Yao Guang also did not like that city lord. He did not have any ability, and was only able to become the second city lord because of Qin Mo. She waved her hands towards Sima Yue and the rest, saying, "Sirs, please." The West Moon Emperor had arranged for Sima Yue and the rest to stay in an extremely secluded courtyard. There were waterside pavilions and pavilions which were rather beautiful. Furthermore, this place was not far from the Imperial Palace, and could be considered a part of the Imperial Palace. It was just that it was outside the Imperial Palace, so there were not many strong guards. This place is really not bad. Fatty Chu looked at the secluded environment, and did not think that there would be such a place in the imperial capital. It is really not bad. Even Ouyang Fei praised. Yao Guang sneaked a glance at Chong Ming and said, "His Majesty said that you have always lived in the mountains and did not like noise, so he specially arranged for you to stay here." "Mr. Chongming, we are basking in your glory this time." Sima Yue laughed as she teased Chongming. She was not afraid that he would get angry. Chongming looked at her indifferently, and did not say anything. "Miss Yao Guang, when can we meet His Majesty?" Wei Ziqi asked. "His Majesty said that it is up to you all. You can go whenever you want." Yao Guang smiled as she replied, "It is already late today. Why don't we go tomorrow?" "Chongming, what do you say?" Sima Yue said. "Up to you." Chongming threw out these 3 words, and did not say anything else. Pretending to be cold, Sima Yue muttered in her heart before saying to Yao Guang, "Then we will have to trouble Miss Yao Guang to ask His Majesty on our behalf." "Sir is too polite," Yao Guang said. "This servant will definitely pass on your message to His Majesty today." She could tell that although Chongming was not their contracted beast, he listened to Sima Yue's words. That was why even though Yue did not look strong, she was the one that they could not afford to offend. Yao Guang arranged for their accommodations, and assigned a group of palace maids to serve them before leaving. Sima Yue and the others were cultivating in their own rooms. Even Little Tu had entered his cultivation mode. Bei Gong Tang was afraid that Little Tu would be disturbed by others, so she cultivated with him. If anything happened, she could still protect him. Although this West Moon Emperor seemed to be treating them courteously, who could be sure of the real situation? In the latter half of the night, those who were cultivating stopped cultivating and looked outside. Sure enough, there are people who don't know their place. Sima Yue sneered. In fact, she had already opened the door and left. As soon as the 6 spiritual venerables arrived above the courtyard, they saw Sima Yue and the others coming out of the door. They were not surprised by their arrival. 6 spirit venerables? Sima Yue raised her eyebrows as she looked at the group and said, "This lineup is really big. Are you Sima Yue?" A spiritual paragon looked at her and asked. Sima Yue leaned against the door and did not panic. She smiled and said, "You've already come all the way here. Do you still need to ask?" The mockery in her words caused the spiritual venerables to become angry. "Looks like it's the few of you," the spiritual paragon who asked the question earlier said. "Do you want to kill yourselves, or do you want us to send you on your way?" Other than Chongming, they felt that these people were not very strong. They did not know why Imperial Concubine, Mo wanted so many spiritual venerables to move out together. As for the few who had just come out of closed-door cultivation, they naturally did not have the time to listen to the gossip outside. They did not know that 2 of their spiritual venerables' brothers had already been killed by Chongming. If they knew, even if they had to give up the yearly allowance that Imperial Concubine Mo gave them, they would not have made this trip tonight. "I'm guessing that you were sent by Qin Mo. This Imperial Concubine really thinks highly of us," Wei Ziqi said. If it was the West Moon Emperor, he could have taken action the moment they reached the capital. There was no need for him to wait until now to send people over. Furthermore, he would not only send these few people. These people were not even enough to fill the gaps between Chongming's teeth. It was obvious that the Imperial Concubine, who did not know the situation, had come to pluck the fur from the tiger's mouth. However, they could also use this matter to have a good discussion with the West Moon Emperor. With this thought in mind, Sima Yue did not immediately let Chongming take action. Instead, she asked him to stay put for now. "Big brother, You should just take action. These are just a few ants. Yet Imperial Concubine Mo actually called us over. She's really making a mountain out of a molehill. A spiritual venerable said unhappily. That's right. Rather than talking to these little dolls, it's better to go back and cultivate. Recently, I've already felt the signs of advancing. Another spiritual venerable said. Sima Yue laughed as she looked at the few people in the air and said, Your Imperial Concubine Mo didn't tell you that the spiritual venerables surnamed Liu, and who have already died, right? What did you say? Hearing this news, the few spiritual venerables subconsciously felt that Sima Yue was making things up to stall for time. Furthermore, she didn't tell you that the domineering army has already been exterminated, right? Those two spiritual venerables were killed at that time. Sima Yue continued. How is that possible? Who dares to kill our brothers? If you're spouting nonsense, we'll immediately turn you into ashes. The few people released their auras towards them, but the few of them stood in the courtyard without moving an inch. Sima Yue took a step forward and said, How are we spouting nonsense? Because the person who killed them is right here. Who? Sima Yue pointed at Chongming and said, Your Imperial Concubine, Mo must have something that she didn't tell you. He's a transformed sacred beast, you know. When the few spiritual venerables heard this, they were shocked. No wonder they couldn't see through Chongming's strength. So, your Imperial Concubine Mo doesn't care about your lives at all. She's just sending you to your deaths. Sima Yue shook her head and said. She looked like she was regretful. Chongming cooperated and released his sacred beast aura. How can there be a sacred beast? Could it be that something really happened when we were in closed-door cultivation? If there really is a sacred beast, what are we still doing here? Let's run. People with their strength all had a common problem. They were arrogant, but at the same time, they all had another characteristic, which was that they cherished their lives. The few of them looked at each other and ran towards the back. However, they seemed to be blocked by something and couldn't run out. Since you're here, why don't you stay and talk? Sima Yue called out Thousand Resonance, Little Rock in Yaguang, Wei Ziqi, and the rest also called out their own sacred beasts. They're all sacred beasts. The few spiritual venerables saw the spirit beasts standing in the courtyard and felt their scalps go numb. There was even a sacred beast standing in the middle. Thousand Resonance, you guys play with them. Sima Yue said. Other than Thousand Resonance's power and spiritual venerables, Yaguang, Little Rock, and the rest were slightly weaker and weren't a match for spiritual venerables. Hence, she let Chongming exert some pressure on those people to lower their strength. Then, she used the spiritual venerables for Little Rock and the rest to practice. The commotion here quickly spread. Those spiritual venerables didn't want to fight with them, but the situation now wasn't a matter of whether they wanted to or not. If they resisted, they would lose their lives. If they didn't resist, they would lose their lives. The West Moon Emperor, who was just about to go to bed, was shocked by the sudden fight and asked, Where's the commotion? Your Majesty, someone went to attack the sacred beast at night. The reply from outside almost caused the West Moon Emperor to fall off his bed. He treated them like gods, who would dare to attack them at night. Chapter 212. When the West Moon Emperor brought his men over, he saw Yaoguang standing outside the courtyard. She did not enter, and was only staring blankly at the battle in the sky. What are you doing here? The West Moon Emperor went up and asked. Only then did Yaoguang notice the West Moon Emperor's arrival. She hurriedly bowed and said, Your Majesty, the courtyard seems to have been enveloped by a barrier. We can't enter. The West Moon Emperor got his men to give it a try. Indeed, they were unable to open it, and could only watch from the outside. In the courtyard, Sima Yue and the others knew that the West Moon Emperor had arrived. However, they did not remove the barrier. Instead, they continued to let Thousand Resonance and the others fight with the spiritual paragon. However, they had them speed up. Since the main character had already arrived, there was no need for them to delay any longer. Soon, the spiritual venerables were either dead or injured. Those who were still alive were on the verge of death. Sima Yue glanced at Chongming. The latter waved his hand and removed the enchantment he had set up. When the West Moon Emperor sensed that the obstruction had disappeared, he hurriedly led his men inside. When they arrived at the courtyard, everyone saw the spiritual venerable lying on the ground. The West Moon Emperor's eyes flashed as he secretly rejoiced that he had not chosen to go against them for the sake of the royal family's reputation. Not only did these people have sacred beasts with them, even their contracted beasts were all sacred beasts. The sacred beast had not even made a move, and these spirit paragons were already lying on the ground. Even if he sent people over, he was afraid that they would also end up like this. "Are you all injured?" The West Moon Emperor asked out of concern. Wasn't this obvious? Everyone looked at the West Moon Emperor with a slightly different expression. Cough cough. "Men, go and find out who sent these people." The person behind West Moon Emperor Dynasty instructed. "No need," Fatty Chu said. "We already know who sent these people." "Who is it?" Although the West Moon Emperor had guessed who it was, he still asked. "You'll have to ask your imperial concubines," Fatty Chu said. "Could it be Consort Mo?" The West Moon Emperor glanced at Yao Guang. She immediately retreated and went to Huasha Garden to look for Consort Mo. "For us to disturb your majesty so late at night. We are truly apologetic," Wei Ziqi said faintly, but there was not the slightest hint of apologetic in his tone. The West Moon Emperor knew that they were all angry. After all, they had only just arrived at the imperial capital, yet they had already encountered such a situation. No one could be happy about it. He secretly glanced at Chongming. The latter's cold expression made him unable to tell if this sacred beast was angry or not. If he was angry, it would be hard to deal with him. "Everyone, there's still some time before we can bring concubine Mo here. Why don't we wait inside?" The West Moon Emperor said. Sima Yue and the others nodded. Although they could rely on Chongming, no matter what, he was still the Emperor of West Moon Kingdom. It was not a good thing to slap his face in front of so many guards. Thus, they went to the living room to wait while the guards stayed outside to keep watch. "I believe that your majesty has already clearly investigated our identities. We are not people from the West Moon Kingdom. We only wanted to borrow the road to go to another kingdom. Who would have thought that we would encounter so many things along the way?" Wei Ziqi said. "That's right. I didn't think that domineering guild would do such a thing. They deserve to be wiped out," His Majesty said with a smile. "Then the Sand Gull who helped us." The Sand Gull mercenary group is known for eliminating evil and upholding justice. Naturally, no one would blame them. His Majesty replied. With his words, the Sand Gull was considered safe. "I wonder which country you all want to go to?" His Majesty asked. "Central Wu Kingdom." "Central Wu Kingdom? That's the strongest country among our 4 great empires." His Majesty sighed and asked again. "I wonder why you all want to go there?" "To save people," Sima Yue said. Seeing that she was not willing to say more, the West Moon Emperor did not continue to ask and changed the topic to something else. Most of the time, it was Wei Ziqi who was chatting with him. Although he was not very enthusiastic, he did not let the West Moon Emperor lose face. After a while, Qin Mo was brought over. When she came to the courtyard, she saw the West Moon Emperor's imperial guards and was shocked. She then saw the spirit paragons she had invited lying in the courtyard. 4 of them were dead, and only 2 were left. Her heart was filled with despair. "Concubine Mo, please. His Majesty is waiting for you inside," Yao Guang said. Qin Mo felt as if her 2 legs were filled with lead, and she could not lift them at all. Yao Guang glanced at her, and 2 guards stepped forward. Each of them held on to one of her arms and brought her into the living room. Seeing the West Moon Emperor's cold face, the guards released her, and she immediately sat on the ground. "Your Majesty, Concubine Mo has been brought over." Yao Guang stood beside Qin Mo and said, "Concubine Mo, how dare you?" The West Moon Emperor's aura burst forth. He was actually a spirit paragon expert. Your Majesty, they were the ones who killed my younger brother first. They killed my daughter and my older brother. How can I not take revenge for this?" When Qin Mo saw the spirit paragons in the courtyard, she knew that her plan had failed. So when she saw that Sima Yue and the others were unharmed, She was not surprised. She only felt hatred. Concubine Mo, right? Sima Yue stood up and squatted down in front of her, saying, "Why do you always put the cart before the horse?" "What do you mean put the cart before the horse?" Qin Mo raised her head and glared at Sima Yue. "We killed your younger brother because he wanted to kill us. We exterminated the domineering army because your older brother and daughter brought people to exterminate us." Sima Yue said, "If we didn't resist, were we supposed to wait for them to kill us? Concubine Mo, do you think there would be such a fool? You're just a few lowly commoners. So what if they killed you?" Qin Mo still thought so. Sima Yue rubbed her chin, saying, "We're just a few lowly commoners. So our lives aren't worth anything. But for someone like Chongming, your majesty, is he also a lowly commoner?" "Who is Chongming? If the people with you aren't lowly commoners, then what are they?" Qin Mo said without even thinking. Bang! The West Moon Emperor's aura directly pressed Qin Mo to the ground, unable to move. Sima Yue stood up and looked at Chongming, saying, "Chongming, you're also a lowly commoner like us." "I'm not even human," Chongming said. Disgraceful thing. The West Moon Emperor was angered half to death by Qin Mo's words. He couldn't help but stand up and kick her. Then he smiled apologetically at Chongming and Sima Yue. "She's talking nonsense. How can you be lowly commoners? You're our royal family's honored guests." Sima Yue's expression was still ugly. She laughed coldly, saying, "It's fine to say that we're lowly commoners. Chongming is a sacred beast. How can he be called a lowly commoner? If others knew, where would my family's Chongming put his face?" When Chongming heard Sima Yue say the words "my family's Chongming," his eyebrows twitched. This girl was bold. She actually dared to say such a thing. Wasn't she afraid that he would be angry? But why didn't he dislike her saying such things? Chapter 213. When the West Moon Emperor heard Sima Yue's words, he started to break out in cold sweat. If Chongming was angry, they would be in deep trouble tonight. "Your Honor, please calm down. I'll deal with her immediately." After saying that, he turned around, took out a sword, and directly pierced Qin Mo's heart. Qin Mo had just sat up, and when he heard the words "transcendent divine beast," he was stunned. Before he could react, he was pierced through. He raised his head and looked at the West Moon Emperor in disbelief. "Your Majesty," she called out weakly. Her body slowly fell to the side and stopped moving. The corners of Sima Yue and the others' mouths twitched. This guy was really merciless when it came to killing the woman who slept with him. However, this was the only choice anyone could make. After all, the other party was too powerful. "Is this all right?" The West Moon Emperor turned around and asked carefully. "Alas, our Chongming has said that he has never encountered such a thing since he came out. He is very unhappy," Sima Yue said. "Previously there was a princess who wanted to kill us. Not to mention that we were ambushed today. We were even scolded as lowly commoners. This is a huge insult to a sacred beast. If it's possible, please allow me to compensate the royal family for your offense." In any case, she was someone who had lived for so many years. How could she not understand Sima Yue's words? But she had no choice. She could only try her best to appease them. Otherwise, once the sacred beast made a move, the losses would not be just this. Therefore, the West Moon Emperor spent the night in Sima Yue's living room. As for what they talked about, the people outside did not know. They only knew that when the West Moon Emperor came out the next day, his expression was very ugly. This Sima Yue, her heart was too black. This was what the West Moon Emperor was thinking right now. Seeing that there were still 2 spirit venerables in the courtyard, he said, "Bring them back. Take these damned people away and deal with them." When the guards were about to take action, Chongming's voice came from inside the house. "Since they are here, let them stay here." With that, the 5 corpses and 2 half-dead people instantly turned into a bloody mist and disappeared. The eyes of the West Moon Emperor and the Imperial bodyguard were wide open. This was most likely not something an ordinary sacred beast could do. Thank goodness. Thank goodness. The West Moon Emperor patted his own chest. Although he had lost quite a few treasures, at least he had managed to appease the other party. If Chongming were to do this to him, he would not be able to fight back at all. Sima Yue smiled as she sent the West Moon Emperor off. When she turned around, she saw a few people looking at her with disdain. Hey, what's with your expressions? Sima Yue glared at them unhappily. Brother, you look like a gangster robbing a house. Little Tu's words represented everyone's thoughts. Little Tu, you're wrong. Bei Gongtang patted Little Tu's head. Did I say something wrong? Little Tu looked at Bei Gongtang in confusion. Bei Gongtang paused for a while before saying, she doesn't look like a gangster. She's a gangster. Do you understand? It's still Bei Gong who understands me. Ah. Sima Yue had not finished speaking when she heard Bei Gongtang's words. Her last word was stuck in her throat. However, she had indeed extorted quite a few treasures from the West Moon Emperor. She had even gotten 2 books of black-grade spirit techniques. Very quickly, the West Moon Emperor's things were sent over. Sima Yue scanned the interspatial ring. It was indeed an empire. So many treasures were sent over so quickly. It seemed like they had a lot of resources. Not bad, not bad. Seeing the treacherous smile on Sima Yue's face, Fatty Chu hugged her shoulder and said, Yue, you clearly have so many things. Why are you still interested in the West Moon Emperor's things? Sima Yue looked at Fatty Chu disapprovingly and said with a serious face, you're really a prodigal son. If you don't manage the household, you won't know how expensive the daily necessities are. There are so many of us, and we consume so much. There will be a day when these things will be used up. We can't just sit around and eat. We have to save energy, understand? Hearing her shameless words, the corners of everyone's mouths twitched. The things in the spirit pagoda could be regenerated. Furthermore, there was a strong housekeeper who knew how to grow them. There was no way they would be used up. She kept the things in the spirit pearl, and little spirit would naturally take care of it. Afterwards, she stretched her body and said, the weather today is really good. It's suitable for sleeping. After attending the West Moon Emperor's birthday banquet tomorrow, we will take the teleportation array to the West Moon Kingdom. After speaking, she returned to her room in a good mood. The West Moon Emperor's face was full of pain as he listened to the guard's report. Thinking about how he had given Sima Yue and the others so many things, his heart ached. It's a good thing that they will leave tomorrow. If they were still here, I don't know what other ideas they would have. The West Moon Emperor muttered softly, as if he was afraid that the Chongming would hear him. Men, go and check the things needed for tomorrow's banquet. Then, announce the news of the sacred beast. Let those who want to attend the banquet have some brains and eyes. Don't provoke people who shouldn't be provoked. The West Moon Emperor ordered. Yes, Your Majesty. The guard went out and conveyed the West Moon Emperor's words to every power that wanted to attend the banquet. He warned them not to provoke Sima Yue and the others. If they did not respect them, they would face serious consequences. Actually, there was no need for the West Moon Emperor to send people to spread the news. The news of the sacred beast had already spread throughout the imperial capital. Only Qin Mo and the few spirit paragons who were in seclusion would foolishly go up and be killed without understanding the situation. Therefore, on the second day of the banquet, everyone who saw Sima Yue and the others were respectful. They did not want to follow in Kwang Ao's footsteps. All the banquets were more or less the same. Sima Yue and the others felt bored, so they instigated the Chongming to return to their courtyard in the afternoon. With the Chongming around, no one dared to say that they were Kwang Ao. They were even worried that they might have provoked them, and thus left early. The teleportation array to the Central Wu Kingdom would only be activated tomorrow. Therefore, they all went back to cultivate. Everyone thought of the gift that they had given to the West Moon Emperor. This was all arranged by Sima Yue. Before returning to the house, Bei Gongtang asked what she had given to the West Moon Emperor. After hearing it, even she could not help but break out in cold sweat. Wei Ziqi and the others walked over and asked, what gift did Yue give to the West Moon Emperor? Bei Gongtang said faintly. She said that she had chosen the most valuable gift from the West Moon Emperor. The few of them immediately burst out laughing. She had taken someone's gift and sent it back. Although it was very valuable, sending it back again, wasn't this just annoying the other party? Only she could do such a wicked thing. After the banquet ended, the West Moon Emperor thought of the gift that Sima Yue and the others had given, and asked the guard to find it. He wanted to see what they would give. He had given them so many things. No matter what, the other party had to give them something. However, when he saw the things in the box, the West Moon Emperor could no longer remain calm. He hated that he could not throw everything on the ground. Furthermore, Sima Yue had even placed a note inside. On it she wrote, "We the mountain people do not have anything valuable. We could only choose the most valuable thing that we have to give to your majesty. We wish your majesty a long and boundless life." Pa! The cup in the West Moon Emperor's hand was mercilessly crushed into pieces. Chapter 214. Sima Yue was in her room. She took out the sound stone that Sima Lai had given her back then, and inserted her spirit chi into it. The lines on the stone moved, and Sima Lai's voice appeared once again. The contents of the book, every word, every sentence, she already knew it by heart. But she would still take it out from time to listen to Sima Lai's loving and helpless voice. After meeting Bai Yunqi, they had stayed in the West Moon Kingdom for more than a month. Now there were only a little more than 3 months left before the 3-year deadline. She wondered if her grandfather and brothers had been doing well these past 3 years. "Grandpa, I'm about to save you. Wait for me." She clenched the sound stone in her hand and muttered. The next day, Sima Yue and the rest went to the Soul Master Guild early in the morning. When the people from the Soul Master Guild saw them, they quickly welcomed them in. "We are going to the Central Wu country," Wei Ziqi said to the manager who had come to receive them. "We're ready," the steward said. "Yesterday, the president gave the order that the lords would be using the teleportation array today, so we haven't opened it to the public yet." Did this mean that he was going to cover them? "Where does this teleportation portal lead to?" Sima Yue asked. "In Linchuan City, the capital of Central Wu country." The steward replied. "Do you know which city the Sima family is in?" "It's in Anyang City in the east. There's a teleportation array in Linchuan City that leads there." "Not in the imperial capital?" "Yes." As they spoke, they arrived at the place where the teleportation array was placed. Because the teleportation distance was relatively far, the teleportation array was relatively large, covering almost half of the courtyard. Sima Yue looked at the teleportation portal. After confirming that there was no problem, she led them into it. The manager had more than 10 spirit masters inject spirit chi into the teleportation array at the same time. The teleportation array lit up, and the spirit masters stopped inputting spirit chi into it when all the lines were lit up. It was Sima Yue's first time seeing such a huge array being activated. However, when she thought about the range of the teleportation, she felt that it was normal. "Not again," Sima Yue complained in her heart. Then, the familiar dizziness engulfed her consciousness once again. No matter how many times she had used the teleportation array, she still couldn't get used to the dizziness. She had asked Feng Zhixing why she felt uncomfortable when everyone else was normal. At that time, Feng Zhixing's answer was that the teleportation arrays on this continent were too crude. She, who was very sensitive to space, would naturally feel uncomfortable. At that time, she had wailed in her heart. Being talented was also a sin. 2 days later, they finally arrived at Linchuan City, the imperial capital of Central Wu country. No one expected the teleportation array to take so long. If they use flying beasts, it would take at least 3 to 5 months. Moreover, Little Rock was an extremely fast flying beast. If it was an ordinary bird, it would probably take almost a year. The teleportation array between countries was rarely activated. The teleportation array between Linchuan City and West Moon Kingdom had not lit up for a long time. Seeing that the teleportation array was connected, the people from the Spirit Master Guild looked over to see who it was. When he realized that it was just a few young people, he went back to doing his own thing. Sima Yue stayed in the teleportation array for 2 days. When she came out of the teleportation array, she vomited until she fainted. Damn it! Next time I'll definitely make my own teleportation array and bring it with me. Sima Yue was completely defeated by the teleportation array after she almost vomited her gallbladder. Because of her body, they did not continue on their journey. Instead, they chose to stay in an inn in Linchuan City. Sima Yue laid on the bed. She still felt that the world was spinning. I've heard of people getting carsick, seasick, and airsick, but I've never seen someone like me getting sick from teleportation arrays. She reached out her hand to grab the air, then put it down weakly. Yue, we just asked around. It's not very far from here to Anyang City. Let's take a flying beast next time. Bei Gongtang was taking care of Sima Yue in the house. Seeing her like this, she said with heartache. Sima Yue looked at Bei Gongtang weakly, saying, forget it. The earlier we go there, the better. It'll be better to prepare. Furthermore, if they had to spend 1 or 2 months on the journey, it would not be worth it. Then rest well. Fatty and the others are quite curious about Linchuan City. We plan to go and take a look together. After she finished speaking, she stood up and took the towel on Sima Yue's head. She took the wooden basin and left, leaving Sima Yue alone in the house. Bang dash, the sound of the door closing shocked Sima Yue so much that she closed her eyes. When she opened them again, she wailed in her heart. This group of heartless people. They left me here alone, and ran out to play by themselves. They're too disgusting. I can't take it anymore. I'm still dizzy. I need to sleep for a while. Chongming, call me when they come back. Chongming, who had been leaning on the window without making a sound, looked at the person on the bed. He then shifted his gaze to the street outside and watched the people coming and going. This guy was usually lively and fearless. Who would have thought that he would be troubled by a teleportation array? Sima Yue slept until evening. When she woke up, she felt much better. At least the world was no longer spinning. However, she still felt a little stuffy and uncomfortable. My back hurts from sleeping so much. Chongming, why haven't they come back yet? She groped her way out of bed and realized that Chongming was nowhere to be found. She opened the door and went out. She heard the sound of teeth gritting and shouting coming from downstairs. She stood by the railing and looked down. She saw Fatty Chu being supported by a few people with a bruised nose and swollen face. Little Two followed behind, one of his eyes looking like a panda. Hey, you guys went out for a day and ended up like this. Sima Yue laughed and said, could it be that you guys didn't go out to shop, but to rob a house? Fatty, what's with these bruises? Fatty Chu glared at Sima Yue resentfully. This guy clearly saw that he was beaten up, yet he was still gloating. Everyone went upstairs. Sima Yue looked at them with a bright smile. I told you guys to go and play by yourselves, but you guys got beaten up. She waved at Little Two and said, Little Two, come here. Little Two went around Fatty Chu and the rest, and came to Sima Yue's side. Sima Yue stretched out her hand and touched his panda eye, saying, come tell Big Brother, who hit you? A bad guy, Little Two said angrily. Not only did that person have designs on Big Sister and me, he also beat Big Brother Fatty up to this extent. Oh, what happened? Sima Yue asked. When Big Sister and I were walking on the streets, we met some young master. He said that he had taken a liking to Big Sister and wanted to catch Big Sister. Another old man said that he had taken a liking to me and wanted to catch me. Big Brother Ouyang and Big Brother Ziqi weren't around, so Big Brother Fatty went up to fight with them. In the end, he got beaten up to this extent. I didn't expect that old man to be a spirit paragon expert. If Big Brother Chongming hadn't come, we wouldn't have been able to come back today. Sima Yue crossed her arms in front of her chest and raised her eyebrows. Had he taken a liking to her beauty and little Shota? Chapter 215. No wonder she didn't see Chongming at the inn when she woke up. It turned out that he had gone to save the damsel in distress. Do you know who they are? She asked. I know. Little Two said. The other party said that they were from the Nalan clan. I heard from the onlookers that it was some first-rate force. Nalan family? Sima Yue was surprised to hear this name again. Dongqing Country's Nailing clan had quite a grudge with her, since the Sima family was exiled there. Then the Nailing family also had their own family. However, he didn't expect to meet them as soon as he arrived. Did Chongming kill them all? Sima Yue was curious. Little Tu shook his head and said, Brother Chongming said that he only saves people and doesn't casually kill people. He made those two leave. Sigh, what a pity. Sima Yue sighed. However, Big Brother Chongming did not let others know that he was a sacred beast. Little Tu added. Sima Yue patted his shoulder and said, Go and eat 2 pills to get rid of your panda eyes. You don't look cute at all. As for Fatty, you can find your own pills to eat. Little Tu, let's go in. After she finished speaking, she led Little Tu into the house and gave him 2 pills to eat. After a while, Bei Gong Tang also came over. The Nailing clan. If you're not a family, you won't enter the same house. As expected, you're all from the same clan. The way you do things is so similar. Bei Gong Tang did not have a good impression of the people from the Nailing clan. She almost ground her teeth to pieces. It's very annoying. Sima Yue felt disgusted when she heard that the other party wanted to snatch a beauty in broad daylight, and the old man's perverted hobbies. However, it's not good for us to find trouble with them now. We'll deal with them after we understand the situation here. Bei Gong Tang nodded, but the anger in her heart could not be quelled. On the morning of the second day, Sima Yue dragged Bei Gong Tang out to the streets. First they asked about the Nailing clan. When the other party saw that they knew nothing about the Nailing clan, they looked at them as if they were barbarians. However, they still told them what they knew. As expected, the Nailing family was one of the top powers in the Yilan continent. Their base was not in the imperial capital, but in the northwest of Linnan City, which was the opposite direction of the Sima family. Since they were able to join the 4 great clans, their strength was definitely not to be underestimated. However, knowing that this wasn't the Nailing clan's base, Sima Yue relaxed a little and pulled Bei Gong Tang to walk around the streets. It would be fine if she didn't meet those people. But if she did, she would reluctantly get rid of them in the name of eliminating them. Oh, isn't this the beauty from yesterday? A wretched voice was heard. Bei Gong Tang turned around to look. Indeed, it was the wretched man from yesterday. Beside him was a wretched old man. Both of them were dressed in luxurious clothes. It was obvious that they were not ordinary goods. Sima Yue glanced at them and said, Were they the ones who harassed you yesterday? Bei Gong Tang nodded. Where's the little doll from yesterday? This lord really likes him. The wretched old man looked left and right, but did not see Little Tu's shadow, so he directly asked. Sima Yue and Bei Gong Tang's hearts sank. This old man who refused to die actually had designs on Little Tu. Seeing that Sima Yue was about to explode in anger, Bei Gong Tang pulled her back and said to the 2 people from the Nailing clan, My brother is nearby. Don't follow us. After she finished speaking, she pulled Sima Yue into the crowd. Elder they. Seeing that Sima Yue and the others had left, the wretched man was a little anxious. Don't be anxious. Let me sense it for a while. The wretched old man closed his eyes and sensed for a while, saying, That brother of theirs is not nearby at all. Then should we chase after them? The wretched man said anxiously, If they did not go now, they might not be able to catch up. Don't panic. They won't be able to escape. The wretched elder said as he slowly walked in the direction that Sima Yue and Bei Gong Tang had left. Seeing this, the wretched man hurriedly followed. Bei Gong Tang pulled Sima Yue and walked out of the city. It looked as if they were running away from something. This made the 2 people behind them even more certain that there were only 2 of them. Elder, if we catch that girl, we will naturally know the whereabouts of the child molester yesterday. The wretched man said this to the wretched old man, hoping that he would help him catch Bei Gong Tang. Don't worry. I will naturally catch them. It's been a long time since I met a child molester that moved my heart. The wretched old man said. In front, Sima Yue and Bei Gong Tang heard the 2 people's words, and their eyes were filled with killing intent. These 2 people actually called Little Tu a child molester, and even wanted to catch them back. They were really despicable. When the two people from the Nalan clan saw them walking out of the city, they thought to themselves, could it be that they lived outside the city? However, if they went to a desolate place, it would be convenient for them to take action. At that time, nobody would know that they were the ones who did it. When they were about 10 li away from the city, Sima Yue and Bei Gong Tang stopped and turned around to look at them. Why are you following us? Bei Gong Tang looked at the two of them with disgust. Hee beauty, when I saw you yesterday, I couldn't help but fall head over heels for you. I want to invite you to my residence as a guest to improve our relationship. The wretched man said shamelessly. Sima Yue stood in front and blocked Bei Gong Tang, saying, where did this lunatic come from? Is my wife someone you can invite just because you want to? Hearing her say wife, the wretched man was very unhappy, saying, how can a man like you be worthy of such a beautiful girl? Today, I will kill you first and set the beauty free. Pfft, aren't you just trying to snatch my wife? You still have to make it sound so dignified. Sima Yue looked coldly at the wretched man, as if she was looking at a corpse. If he wanted to kill her, she didn't even know who would be the one doing the killing. She activated the spiritual energy in her body, and the surrounding spiritual energy fluctuated. The other party immediately sensed her strength. Haha, you're only a second-level spirit grandmaster. Today I'll send you to hell. As he spoke, the wretched man also activated the spiritual energy in his body and displayed the strength of a fourth-level spirit grandmaster. Sima Yue didn't think much of him. When she was still a first-level spirit grandmaster, she was already able to kill Qin Wu. Although this man's level was about the same as Qin Wu's, compared to Qin Wu who lived on the edge of a knife, he was obviously a good-looking, but useless piece of trash. Elder, don't do anything. Let me kill this person. After speaking, he attacked Sima Yue. Sima Yue snorted coldly and fought with him. It didn't take long for the victor to be decided. After a few rounds, the other party was killed. The wretched old man didn't think much of Sima Yue, because she was 2 levels lower than the wretched man. But he didn't think that she would be so strong in battle. She defeated the wretched man so quickly and killed him so quickly. By the time he reacted, she had already killed the wretched man. Chapter 216. How dare you kill a member of my Nalan family? The wretched old man's eyes flashed with malice. His murderous intent surged toward Sima Yue along with his aura. He was waiting to see her being suppressed by his aura. However, Sima Yue stood where she was completely unaffected. You're actually not afraid of high-level coercion? This surprised him, but he didn't think too much about it. He just thought that she must have some treasure that could resist the pressure. No matter what treasure you have, I will kill you today and avenge my Nalan clan. A junior of the Nalan family was killed in front of him. If this matter were to spread out, it would be a colossal joke. The only way was to kill the two of them here, so that this matter would never spread. Sima Yue ignored the murderous intent in his eyes and said, Is the Nalan family that great? How come I've never heard of it? I don't think it's a good family that raised 2 scum like you. It's fine if I don't know. Arrogant brat. Let's see if you can still be so arrogant after I kill you here. As he spoke, the wretched old man circulated his spiritual chi to show his level. A first-level spiritual venerable? Sima Yue looked at the old man and sneered. You only managed to become a spiritual venerable at your age. I don't think your talent is that good. Did you burn a lot of spirit herbs to grow up? Sima Yue's words angered the vulgar old man so much that he almost vomited blood. He said, I originally wanted to give you a quick death, but now I've changed my mind. I want to slowly torture you to death. Am I someone you can torture as you please? Sima Yue looked at the wretched old man and said, You want to kill me, but I want to kill you too. You actually dared to have evil thoughts about my family's little too, and even wanted to capture him. Now you even want to kill us. It seems that we have no choice but to take your life today. Ha 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 ha. The wretched old man laughed heartily, as if he had heard a joke. Laughing, he looked at Sima Yue and said, A mere spiritual grandmaster like you wants to kill me? Who said I was going to do it myself? Sima Yue looked at him as if he was an idiot and said, "Thousand resonance. I'll leave this old fart to you. Just kill him." The wretched old man wanted to laugh at her for boasting shamelessly, but before he could say anything, he saw a fox appear beside Sima Yue. Divine beast. The vulgar old man's eyes narrowed as he looked at Thousand Resonance's level and said, "A 5th level spirit beast. His strength has barely reached the level of a spirit paragon. I'm about to advance to level 2. This guy can't kill me." "Is that so?" Sima Yue smiled disapprovingly and said, "Don't be so arrogant." The tail behind Thousand Resonance slowly turned from 1 to 7, and it looked like a fan behind him. 7-tailed spirit fox. This time, the wretched old man could not remain calm. This was actually a 7-tailed spirit fox, a rare spirit beast. Sima Yue looked at the change in his expression with satisfaction and said, "That's right. Thousand Resonance has the blood of the ancient 9-tailed spirit fox. His battle strength is stronger than those of the same level. He's comparable to a level 6 spirit beast. If he wants to kill you, it'll be easy." After speaking, she said to Thousand Resonance, "Hurry up. They're still waiting for us to return." "Yes, master." Thousand Resonance pounced towards the wretched old man. Sima Yue and Bei Gongtang hurriedly retreated to a distance of 1 li away from them. It was better for them to watch a battle between spirit paragons from afar. Just as Sima Yue said, Thousand Resonance had an absolute advantage over the wretched old man. Very quickly, he beat the other party to his last breath. Sima Yue and Bei Gongtang saw that the battle was over and flew over. She came to the wretched old man's side and kicked him fiercely, saying, "How was it? I said that I'll kill the 2 of you today, so I'll kill you. You want to steal my woman and brother? You better open your eyes in your next life. Not just anyone dares to touch them. Do you understand?" The wretched old man did not say anything. Sima Yue squatted down and took a few interspatial rings from the wretched old man's hands, saying, "Since you're going to die anyway, take these things as a way to help us get over our shock." Dash. The old man, who was still hanging on to his last breath, was angered to the point of vomiting blood by Sima Yue's bandit-like actions. He died. She threw a flame at the wretched old man's body and burned his corpse. Bei Gongtang threw a flame at the wretched old man's body. Before that, she did not forget to take his interspatial ring. The 2 people who wanted to take advantage of them were killed by them just like that. Now that the 2 of them were dead, their connection to the interspatial ring was also cut off. Now it was an ownerless ring. Sima Yue and Bei Gongtang each sent their consciousness into the ring to check what was inside. Damn, this old man has so much wealth. Sima Yue could not help but cry out when she saw the treasures inside. This little one too. Bei Gongtang said. Looking at them, they must have done many bad things. But I never thought that we would benefit from it. Sima Yue's mouth was laughing so hard that it almost reached her ears. Bei Gongtang looked at Sima Yue's appearance and could not help but shake her head. This guy was actually very hooligan. Just now, he had called her his wife so naturally. Wasn't this also teasing her? Now this bandit role was played by her incisively and vividly. What were hooligans and bandits? It's getting late, let's go back. Otherwise, they will be worried. Bei Gongtang resisted the urge to roll her eyes and passed the wretched man's ring to her. Okay. Sima Yue kept the rings and thanked Thousand Resonance for his hard work. She kept it in the spirit pagoda and then said to Bei Gongtang, "Let's go." When they returned to the inn, Wei Ziqi and the others were not as worried as she thought. A few of them were drinking tea in the main hall of the inn. Only Little Two saw them return and waved at them with a smile. How was it? Fatty Chu bore a grudge against the people who beat him up. He originally wanted to go with them today, but Sima Yue said that he was a hindrance and let him stay in the inn. Looking at the 2 of them, you can tell that they must have succeeded, Wei Ziqi said with a smile. Sima Yue and Bei Gongtang sat down and drank the tea that Fatty Chu poured for them, saying, "We took action. Of course there was no problem. And we even handed in a lot of spoils of war." "What spoils of war?" Little Two looked at Sima Yue with his eyes wide open. Sima Yue did not say anything, and only glanced at little Tuesday. He immediately understood and said, "Oh, I know. Elder sister and elder brother snatched other people's interspatial rings again." "What do you mean snatched? I picked it up, okay?" Sima Yue looked at little Tu disapprovingly, saying, "It's only snatching if it has an owner. I picked it up without an owner. Do you understand? It's only snatching if it has an owner. It's only picking up if it has no owner." Little Tu nodded his head fiercely, understanding this truth to the bone. So many years later, when he snatched other people's elixirs and faced other people's accusations, he calmly said, "It's only snatching if it has an owner. It's only picking up if it has no owner. Do you understand?" After he finished speaking, he swaggered off, angering everyone so much that they almost vomited blood. Chapter 217. Sima Yue and the others stayed in Linchuan City for another night to deal with the Nailing clan. They were preparing to go to Anyang City the next day. At this time, in an inn not far from the one they were staying at, the Nailing clan members were all pulling long faces. They were frighteningly gloomy. The elder and younger cousin were killed. The person sitting in the middle looked at the guard kneeling on the ground, his voice frighteningly cold. This person was handsome, but his malicious eyes made him look sinister and ruthless. One look, and you could tell he wasn't a good person. However, the people around him all stood respectfully to the side, like stars surrounding the moon, showing his status in the Nailing clan. "Young master, the elder and the others didn't come back after they went out, so we went out to look for them. We saw the clan token 10 miles away from the city. After some investigation, we confirmed that there was a battle between spirit paragons during the day." The guard replied, "Did you find out who did it?" Nailan Jie asked. "No one saw it at the time, so we didn't find out. However, we will definitely find out by daybreak." The guard replied, "No matter who it is, if they dare to kill my Nailing clan members, we will catch them even if they run to the ends of the earth." Nailan Jie ordered. "Yes, young master." Everyone in the room replied in unison. The guard retreated, preparing to continue investigating the elder's murderer. As he left the room, Nailan Jie's voice faintly sounded, "If you can't find the culprit by daybreak, you will all go back to receive your punishment." The guard's body trembled. He was very afraid of being punished. However, he still said yes and obediently left. Inside the room, an elder sat at the same table as Nailan Jie. It was obvious that his status wasn't low. This person was Nailan Jie's master, Nailan Hong. He was also an elder of the Nailing clan. "Master, who do you think killed the 15th elder and the others?" Nailan Jie asked. Nailan Hong thought for a moment and said, "Someone who dares to kill my Nailing clan's elders. If their status isn't the same as ours, then they don't know the strength of our Nailing clan." Nailan Jie laughed coldly and said, "Who on this continent doesn't know the strength of our Nailing clan? I think the first possibility is more likely. It's possible that it was done by one of our enemies." Nailan Hong did not deny it, saying, "The possibility is not small. After all, the grand banquet was about to arrive, and the various factions were already restless. Let's wait for the results of their investigation." "Yes," Nailan Jie responded, then asked again, "Master, what do you think of this event? There are less than 2 years left until the Grand Assembly, so the number of middle-aged people should be about the same as before. However, there are quite a few rising stars among the younger generation. However, their talents cannot compare to yours. You just have to pay attention to the Sima family's Sima Yulin, the Sang family's Sang Qiongli, and the Hua family's Hua Ziyan. The others are not your match. Those few people have been known as the 4 great freaks with me all these years, but I've never fought with them before. I'm actually looking forward to this gathering." Nailan Jie sneered. "This gathering is related to the ranking of the various powers. The battles between the younger generation are also an important part of it. You can't be careless. Otherwise, your father won't have a good time," Nailan Hong said. "I know," Nailan Jie said. "I won't disappoint father and the clan elders." "It's good that you know. Nalan Hong had always been very satisfied with his young master's disciple. He knew his character, so he was not very worried. However, master, will the broken blood grass that we picked be of any use to that girl? Nalan Jia thought of the purpose of coming out this time, and asked with uncertainty. With the broken blood grass, we can unlock that girl's physique. Once the sacred lotus physique awakens, her future achievements will be immeasurable. Nalan Hong said. Is the lotus physique really that good? Nalan Jia asked. Of course. Otherwise, why would we bring her back from the land of exile? Nalan Hong said. The cultivation speed of the lotus physique is many times faster than the average person. Especially after breaking through to that level, the advantage of her physique will be even more obvious. Right now, that girl is not even 25 years old and has not reached the deadline for awakening her physique. Otherwise, it will be difficult for her to awaken it. Nalan Jia naturally knew how important it was for the clan to have someone with a physique to awaken her physique. Otherwise, they would not have come out to look for medicine to awaken her physique. Master, the level you're talking about. You don't need to know that yet. Just focus on cultivating. Nalan Hong did not reply. Yes, master. Go and rest. When they send the news back, we will go and take care of that group of people and rush back to the clan. You should also go into seclusion to prepare for the gathering. Sima Yue, 6 adults and 1 child slept very late that night, because they were counting the spoils of war today. Chongming originally did not want to participate, but he was pulled over by Sima Yue. Now she was no longer afraid of him. Sometimes, she would even put her arms around his shoulders. I never thought that these 2 fellows would have so many treasures. In Dongchen Kingdom, these treasures are almost equivalent to the treasures of a middle-class family. Either the Nalan clan's resources are extremely rich, or they have done a lot of robbing. This was the unanimous conclusion of everyone. Sima Yue distributed the items according to everyone's needs. Then she urged everyone to leave. She wanted to conserve energy for tomorrow's hardships. Thinking about how she fainted from the teleportation array, everyone laughed silently. However, they all left. On the second day, Sima Yue and the others woke up early. After bringing little Tu to eat breakfast, they walked towards the Spirit Master Guild. Linchuan City was the capital of the Central Wu Kingdom. There were a few teleportation arrays that led to the outside world. They went to the north, south, east, and west. There were many cities in the east, so there were more people going there. Even though it was so early, there was a long queue for the teleportation array in the east. Let's wait for a while. They queued at the back of the queue and watched the queue slowly move forward. Sima Yue pulled little Tu to the back. Bei Gong Tang was in front of them. Wow, what a cute little brother. A few more people queued at the back. When they saw little Tu, they could not help but exclaim. Sima Yue turned around to look at the people behind her. She realized that there were 2 old people with a few young people. Looking at them, they seemed to be together. The one who spoke was a young lady. Seeing Sima Yue turn around, the lady smiled at her, saying, Is this your little brother? He's so cute. Sima Yue saw that the other party's smile was kind and smiled back, saying, Thank you for the compliment. Are you going to the east as well? Which city are you going to? The lady asked. Sima Yue saw that this lady looked to be around 17 or 18 years old. Her face had some baby fat. When she smiled, her dimples appeared. Her eyes were clear. It seemed that she was a simple person. She nodded lightly, saying, Yes. We're going to Anyang City. Really? We're going to Anyang City too. Looks like we're going the same way. The lady said, I'm called Sima Yuqing. What about you? Hearing the other party's name, Sima Yue's heart skipped a beat. She had met the Sima family before going there? Chapter 218. Hearing Sima Yuqing's words, Wei Ziqi and the others who were in front turned their heads and looked at the 2 of them. If Sima Lin wanted to protect Sima Lai, he would have to reveal the matter of the 3-year promise. Sima Yue's name was probably no longer a secret within the Sima family. If people were to know of her existence now, she wondered if it would cause problems for Hung. Sima Yue said, "You can call me Shiman Yu." Sima Yuqing blinked, saying, "Shiman, this surname is rare." A man came up from behind and said, "Yu Qing, you like children. Don't scare her." "Yu Yang, I'm so cute, how could I scare a child?" Sima Yuqing glared at Sima Yu Yang unhappily, saying in a bad mood, "It's not like I've never seen you scare a child to tears." Sima Yu Yang said, then looked at Sima Yu Yu and asked with a smile, "Judging from your accent, you're not from Anyang City, right? What are you going to Anyang City for?" "Let's go look for him," Sima Yue replied. This Sima Yu Yang was over 20 years old, but because the body of a cultivator aged slower than the average person, he looked to be around 20 years old. His smile was very sunny like a big boy. "Oh, you're looking for..." Just then, a loud roar interrupted their conversation. "Who are Shiman Yu and Bei Gongtang?" Sima Yue and the rest looked over and saw a group of people walking towards them aggressively. They glanced at each other and guessed that the Nalan family's people had come looking for them. After coming to Central Wu country, Sima Yue changed her name to Shiman Yu. She didn't expect that in just one night, the other party would find them. However, they did not intend to admit it. Since the other party did not immediately come to their door, it meant that no one from the Nalan family saw them kill anyone. Seeing the people from the Nalan clan walking over, the people in the queue at the Spirit Master Guild all moved to the side, afraid that they would meet them. Only Yue, her friends, and the Sima family remained where they were. Heavens, it's actually the young master of the Nalan family. Nalan Jia is here. Looks like something big is going to happen today. She'll lower your voice. If they hear you, be careful of your life. Nalan Jia and Nalan Hong walked in front of the guards and stood in the courtyard, sizing up the people in the courtyard. When he saw the members of the Sima family, he subconsciously narrowed his eyes. "Who is Shiman Yu and Bei Gongtang?" The person who came shouted again. Sima Yue knew who they were from the discussions around them. She stepped forward and said, "I am Sima Yue." "You are Shiman Yu?" The guard beside Nalan Jia looked at Sima Yue suspiciously. How could such a person kill an elder of the Nalan family? "That's right. What's the matter?" Sima Yue felt uncomfortable when she saw Nalan Jia's sinister gaze. She didn't look happy either. "You killed our Nalan family's people, and you still dare to ask us what's the matter? Why aren't you committing suicide to atone for your sins?" The other party was unhappy with Sima Yue's attitude and shouted, "Are you an idiot?" Sima Yue looked at that person with disdain. "I don't even know who you are. When did you kill your Nalan family's people? You still won't admit it? Someone saw them follow you out of the city. Oh, you're talking about the two wretched men who wanted to capture my wife and brother." Sima Yue wasn't scared at all by the other party and said, "What does it mean if they followed us out of the city? They wanted to capture my wife, so they might have been killed by someone after they followed us out of the city. They didn't have any grudges with others. How could they be killed by others? With our strength, we can't kill them." Sima Yue said, "What are you doing outside the city?" Nalan Jia asked. "What else can we do? We're looking for friends." Sima Yue casually made up a story. "Don't talk about looking for them. They were in the inn the whole day yesterday." Nalan Jia stared at Sima Yue. The other party didn't give her time to reply and continued to ask, "You just arrived in Central Wu Kingdom and don't know anyone. Who are you looking for?" "Do I need to report to you who I'm looking for?" Sima Yue retorted. "No need. But if you can't say it, it means that you intentionally went outside the city to kill my Nalan family's people." "Who said she doesn't know anyone? Yesterday, you and the others went out to look for us." Sima Yuqing, who had been watching the show from the side, suddenly said, "Who are you?" Nalan Jia turned his gaze to the Sima family and saw a man standing quietly behind the crowd saying, "Sima Yulin?" Sima Yulin hadn't said a word since he came in and was standing behind the Sima family. Sima Yue and the others didn't notice him. Even Nalan Jia didn't notice his presence when he came in. Sima Yue looked at Sima Yulin. This guy knew how to restrain his aura and reduce his presence. It was as if he was one with his surroundings. His ability to restrain his aura is comparable to ours. She secretly compared it to him in her heart. Sima Yulin took 2 steps forward saying, Nalanjia. I didn't think that I would meet you here. Nalanjia looked at Sima Yulin with surprise. He felt the fluctuations of the latter's spirit energy, and was shocked. You know them? Sima Yulin glanced at Sima Yue and said lightly, I know them. They left the city yesterday to look for you? Nalanjia continued to ask. Little sister, and the others did leave the city yesterday. Sima Yulin replied in a roundabout way. Since they are your friends, you should hand them over. On what basis? You say that they killed your family's people. Do you have proof? If you don't slander us. Yu Qing already said that they left the city to look for her. How would they have the time to kill your people? Sima Yuyang didn't like Nalanjia, and looked at him sideways. You want to protect them? Nalanjia ignored Sima Yuyang and asked Sima Yulin. This isn't protecting them. Do you have proof that they killed your people? Sima Yulin retorted. Nalanjia's eyes darkened. Although they knew that Sima Yue had killed his people, they didn't have proof. Why are you looking at my brother like that? Do you want to fight with him? Sima Yuyang said. It just so happens that my brother wants to fight with you too. Isn't that right, brother? Sima Yulin glanced at Sima Yuyang and didn't deny it. Then, he looked at Nalanjia with a burning gaze. He really wanted to fight with Nalanjia. They were both called evildoers, but they had never fought with each other before. He really wanted to know who was more powerful between them. Nalanjia wanted to fight with him as well. Just as he was about to take a step forward, a hand landed on his shoulder. Young master, we still have things to do. Let's go back first. Nalan Hung looked at the Sima family. His voice wasn't loud, but Nalanjia couldn't resist. Count yourselves lucky. It's best that you don't leave the protection of the Sima family. Otherwise, be careful of your dog lives. After speaking, he led the Nalan family to the teleportation array towards the west. Before he left, he glared at them with murderous intent, causing everyone present to shudder with fear. Chapter 219. The Nalan clan's people left just like that? Everyone was in disbelief. In the past, they would rather kill 1,000 innocents than let one person go. Today, they had already suspected Sima Yue and the others, but they did not make a move. However, when they saw the members of the Sima family, everyone felt relieved. These two families had always been at odds with each other. Just now it was obvious that the Sima family wanted to protect these people. Even if the Nalan family wanted to take action, it would be inconvenient. The meeting is about to start. Nalanjia doesn't want to go up against Sima Yulin first, so he wants to reveal his strength in advance. Someone analyzed. And didn't they say that unless these people always follow the Sima family, they will always be hunted by the Nalan family? Sima Yue and the rest did not expect the other party to leave just like that. Regardless of whether it was temporary or not, she still said gratefully, "Thank you for helping us out." Sima Yulin didn't say anything and retracted his aura, causing people to unconsciously ignore him. Sima Yuyang stepped forward and held onto Sima Yu's shoulder, saying, "This is nothing. We have always been at odds with the Nalan clan. It doesn't matter if there's more or less trouble." Bei Gong Tang stepped forward and pulled Sima Yu over, escaping from Sima Yuyang's evil clutches, saying, "Thank you, everyone." Wei Ziqi and the others also came up and gave their thanks. "Shiman, who in their family did you kill?" Sima Yuqing beamed as she asked. Sima Yue glanced at them and whispered, "A wretched man and a wretched elder." Wretched elder? Could it be their 15th elder? Sima Yuyang said in shock. Is it a short, ugly, fat old man who likes to molest children? Sima Yue nodded. Damn, you guys actually killed their elders. They're going to come knocking on our door. Sima Yuyang almost jumped up. His eyes widened as he looked at Sima Yu and the others. Even Sima Yulin glanced at them, but quickly shifted his gaze away. I really admire you. You killed the Nalan family's elder just like that. He wanted to steal my wife and brother, so I naturally had to fight back. However, I'm not that powerful. I had to rely on some tricks. Sima Yue said. No matter what method we use, it'll be good if we can kill him. Sima Yuqing said. That old bastard, no, he's already dead. He's a huge scourge in the Central Wu Kingdom. Because he has a bit of power, and because he's a member of the Nailing clan, very few people dare to touch him. I heard that he's caught over 100 male molesters. Now that he's been killed by you, it's a good thing that he's gotten rid of evil. These people were chatting happily with the younger generation of the Sima family. If they knew that these people were the ones who were going to cause trouble soon, who knew what kind of expression they would have? Weren't you guys in the east? Why have you come to the imperial capital? Wei Ziqi asked. We came out to gather herbs and conveniently came to the Spirit Beast mountain range to gain experience. Sima Yuqing replied. Picking herbs. That's right. Someone in my family was injured and hasn't recovered for a long time. Originally, a strange fruit would have been able to cure him, but someone said that he would bring it to us after 3 years. Now that the 3 years are almost up, we don't know whether or not he will come. Many uncles have said that it's impossible for that person to come, but my great-uncle has said that we have to wait. He wants us to prepare for both eventualities. Sima Yuqing had a good impression of the few of them, and blabbered on about the news that they wanted. Then that person made the 3 years agreement with you. Did he not have any conditions? Wei Ziqi asked. He did. He wanted us to guarantee the lives of a great-uncle and a few older and younger brothers. However, those people have done something wrong before. To protect them, it took a lot of effort from great-uncle. If those people don't come, we'll be letting great-uncle down. Sima Yuqing said. Hearing that Sima Lai and the others were safe, Sima Yue heaved a huge sigh of relief. At least the other party had kept their promise. As they chatted, it was their turn very quickly. Because they were going to a place, and the teleportation array was big enough, they let them go together. In the Spirit Master Guild of Anyang City, Sima Yue felt a little uncomfortable. Seeing her like this, the youths of the Sima family came over to ask about her. Shiman, are you okay? Sima Yue supported herself against the wall and waved to everyone. What's wrong with her? Sima Yuyang asked. She's fine. She just fainted from the teleportation array. Fatty Chu said. Fainted from the teleportation array? This was the first time they had heard of this. Where are the people you want to find? Sima Yuqing asked. We don't know yet. We have to look for them. Wei Ziqi replied. But we have to rest for 2 days before making any plans. Why don't you come to my house? Sima Yuqing invited them warmly. No need. We can just find an inn. Wei Ziqi said. We're used to staying in the mountains. If we go to your house, we'll be disturbed. All right. Then which inn do you want to go to? We have inns in our house too. Let's find a place nearby to stay. Her condition isn't very good. Take her to rest early. Goodbye. The few of them left without saying much to the Sima family. Sima Yulin watched their backs as they left and felt a little strange. However, he couldn't pinpoint what was wrong with them. Let's go. We'll go back too. Wei Ziqi and the others came outside and found an inn that looked pretty good to stay in. After that, a certain someone began to rest while the others went out to wander around. They called it scouting for information, leaving a certain someone to lie on the bed alone and draw circles. When night fell, they came back with the information they had gathered. The Sima family is worthy of being a first-rate power in the Yilin continent. This residence is almost the size of a small city. It occupies a large area of Anyang City. The people of Anyang City treat the Sima clan as if they are gods. I heard that the Sima family has a lot of experts. The younger generation is even more outstanding. However, some people say that the Sima family might be reduced to a second-rate power. The Sima family seems to be divided internally. Sima Yu looked at the few of them, and her eyes were filled with resentment. You could have waited for me to find out. Aren't we considering that you're anxious to know the situation? Fatty Chu said. Then have you found out anything about grandfather and the others? Sima Yu asked. We haven't. Everyone shook their heads. We did ask a few people about the people that the Sima family brought back 3 years ago, but those people didn't say anything after hearing it. Looks like they're avoiding this and don't dare to talk about it. Sima Yu said, there are still 2 months before the 3-year agreement. During this period of time, I have to seize the time to cultivate and see if I can increase my strength. Thinking about how she was in the same city as Sima Lai and the others, Sima Yu was excited. Grandfather, brother, I'm coming. You're tuning in to the Journey of the Soul YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.